Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Louis Centeno Show. My name is Louis Centeno. Thank you for joining me, everyone. Today is November 14th. It's now 7 p.m. Eastern Time, live from Tampa, Florida. The warm weather. Well, you guys are probably out there, depending on where you're at. Some of you probably maybe getting snow, maybe rain. But I am so pumped up for today's show. And you guys may ask, why am I doing this? Why am I having a debate between the people who love Zack Snyder and also there are people out there who are not a fan of Zack Snyder's vision for the DCEU. And I thought it would be kind of cool that we have like a little debate, and we come together and everyone will state their piece why they are pro Zack and why they are not a fan of Zack Snyder vision. Now, this is going to be a respectful debate, unlike the presidential debate. This will be definitely a respectful debate. I'm going to ask my guests to please speak with passion, but respect one another. And if you could try, I got, for those who don't know, I am a religious person, so if you just could just again, speak with passion, but just bring it on. Hello, Chubby, Teddy, nice to see you. Zack Ryder, my man, Zack Ryder, man, in the house. Warzone 42, thank you for joining us, man. I really appreciate it, man. So before I bring on my guests, let's talk about a few things that I have in store for you. I have been in contact with Fabian Wagner. He's gonna be coming on my show. We just need to correlate the date and time. It's probably either gonna be December 5th or 12th. Those are the 2 days that I'm shooting for. Obviously I'm going to work around his time. So in December, hopefully, I'm going to be having Fabian Wagner on my show, and we're going to discuss everything, his passion. We're going to discuss whether he got some ideas when he watched Batman versus Superman, and if he incorporated that with his take on when he did his shots in Zack Snyder Justice League. So I cannot wait. I cannot wait. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my guests one by one before we get to the debate. I want you guys to know my guests, know them personally. We're going to ask you a few questions about them and why they like Zack Snyder, and then we're going to start the whole fiasco and everything. So first I'm going to bring in let's bring in Nelly. Hey, Nelly. How you doing?
Doing good. How
Nice
are
to
you?
meet you.
Well, nice to
I'm
meet you
doing
too.
okay. Yes. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you at, and how's today going for you?
Today's doing really well. Well, actually, I'm living in the future because I'm based halfway around the world. I'm located in the Philippines, so it's really an honor to be on your show and to be talking passionately about Zack Snyder. I am a big Zack Snyder fan. I've been a fan since since Watchmen, and when I watched the movie Sucker Punch, which is also a favorite movie of mine, which is why I'm also advocating, since you launched the hashtag on your Twitter site, release the Zack Snyder cut. So very excited to be here. I'm very excited to be part of the debate and to meet everybody else.
And so is Manny Pacquiao as big as everybody says he is in the Philippines?
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure. Big,
Okay.
big Louise is an understatement. He's
Okay.
huge.
Okay. What is your favorite Zack Snyder movie?
Well, aside from everything he's done for DC, like I said, Watchmen and Sucker Punch was my favorite.
Okay.
Amazing movies.
Okay. And what is it? What is it about Zack Snyder vision that you like about the DCEU?
Well, the fact that he is willing to be able to realize everything that we're, if you're a comic fan, these are things that you as a comic book fan would really love to see in the movies.
Hmm.
I know there are a lot of different moviegoers out there. They love the different things that other companies have done for other comic books. But let alone his vision to be him being a visionary and realizing comic books the way we appreciate comic books, and not the moviegoers. So that's what's big for me.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, so I'm also gonna bring another Zack Snyder supporter. His name is Jacob. Jacob, welcome to my show. It's nice to meet you. How you doing today, Jacob?
Nice to meet you too. Great to be here. Great to
All
be here.
right. All right. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you at, and what is it about Zack Snyder that you like about his vision for the DCEU?
So I'm on the East Coast. I'm in Maryland. It's a pretty great state. Um, I
How's the
have
weather out
been,
there?
huh?
How's the weather out there?
It's doing good. It's getting a little cold, but that's okay.
Oh, okay.
Staying
Okay.
warm. Staying warm.
Okay.
But I've been a fan of, well, pretty much DC my whole life. I grew up, watching the Dark Knight trilogy and just thinking that I was blown away by it. But I stumbled upon Batman v Superman, the theatrical cut, not the director's cut, and was very intrigued by that. It didn't like I didn't really love it at first. I just thought it was different. But as I just continued watching it, found the Ultimate Edition, of course, and then found all of his other films, I just was like, wow, this is the guy who makes me love film. So yeah.
Right. I remember when I first watched Man of Steel. That was I didn't dislike it. I just didn't know how to feel about it because, like you said, it was different.
Yes.
So it was very different. And I struggle with on the ending part. Obviously, Superman snapping General Zod neck. That was the big debate at that time. That Superman doesn't kill. Then I
Right.
watched it a second time. Then I watched it a third time, and then I started thinking, if I was Superman, what would I do if I was in his position? He's telling General Zod, stop, don't do it. General Zod basically told him it's either him or the people die. He gave him an ultimatum. So what is this Superman supposed to do? I mean,
Right.
and the notion that Superman doesn't kill, it really upsets me because if you watch Superman 2, he take General Zod, picks him up, and throw him across, and he falls down. And people that say, "Well, that's not killing him." Well, come on, seriously. I mean, use your noodle there. So,
Right.
so but again, going back to at that time, what you wanted Superman to do. If he didn't kill General Zod, he was going to kill the people, and he demonstrated that towards the end when he's screaming agony because he's just killed one of his own. So
Right.
the pain that he must have felt that he killed one of his own, and probably at the time he probably thought the last of my man, the last of my species. He went through a lot. It was not an easy decision. Um, so it took me about a good 3 or 4 times. Now going back to Batman versus Superman, I thought the theatrical version was good. I thought the Ultimate Edition was just tremendous. I absolutely love the Ultimate Edition. Do you guys like the Ultimate Edition as well, Eileen?
Yeah. Actually, me and my best friend were also watching the theatrical cut, and we were discussing that also. And the Ultimate Edition. One of the things that we were really discussing was that, at the end of the day, for Zack Snyder to humanize Superman, right, and having him depict, us having a better moral compass than humans themselves was, it's something that I think majority of the moviegoers do not really understand because they see him as a superhero. right?
Right.
But for Zack Snyder to be able to humanize him and give him that ability to question his moral compass was depicted in the movie so well.
And you, Jacob?
Yeah, I mean, the Ultimate Edition, I mean, besides the editing for the theatrical cut is a little choppy, you know, because it was basically trying to take what is arguably Snyder's preferred version of the film, what he wanted to film, and then cutting it down, you know, so that it could have a shorter runtime in theaters. And I understand that, and I think it's great that he got to release his Ultimate Edition. But I mean, the major thing that hit me for the Ultimate Cut was right after he dies, Superman dies, and there are a bunch of just kind of mood-setting shots of Metropolis, you know, kind of showing a bunch of empty shops, empty city streets, showing that, you know, this wasn't just, you know, we're cutting directly from his death to his funeral. This had an impact on his world, you know. So that's something I
Right.
really like from the Ultimate Cut.
Right. I'm gonna bring on I still have three more guests. I see you guys in the background. So I'm gonna bring on Tony. Tony, he has emailed me respectfully, and he's gonna give his point of view why he's not a fan of Zack Snyder vision of the DCEU. So hey, what's up, Tony? How you doing, man?
Luis, what's going on, man?
Nice. Finally to meet you. I first of all, I want to say thank you. I appreciate you, man. You've been there, my show since day one. Stephen Lewis, I see you. Superman's the comics always finds a way and wouldn't have killed Zack. But again, you're living in a world that's your interpretation. So and my question to you is: are you sure Superman didn't kill in the comics? And number two, I haven't read a comic book, Stephen, a comic book where Superman has an ultimatum. Either they die or he dies. So I'm asking you, Stephen, a direct question. On that scenario, you're Superman. He gives you an ultimatum. Either General Zod die or the people die. I want you to tell me what you would have done if you were in Superman's shoes. Now, that's a perfect segue because Tony, before we get into that, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where were you from? What got you into comics and so forth. So give the audience a little bit information about yourself.
Yeah, sure thing, man. I'm originally from Connecticut, not too far from your neck of the woods, Luis. Right.
Brooklyn, yeah.
Currently living in Florida, so I am enjoying this great weather.
Oh yes.
I can probably say, looking at Jacob and looking at Nelly, I probably have cans of soup in my pantry older than they are. That's how old I am. So I'm an old school guy. I started a comic shop in 1980. I don't know if you guys were around back in 1980, but that's where I started working in a comic shop. So that was my introduction to the comic world. Other than that, I own a comic book grading company. I am the president of EGS Comic Book Grading. I mean, as far as, you know, I want to, Luis, you know, as you know, I've been always very respectful with you. I think
yes,
we all have our opinions.
Absolutely.
I want to make it clear, okay, that I am not a Zack Snyder hater. I do not hate the man, Zack Snyder. I do not dislike the man, Zack Snyder. I may have a different view than Zack Snyder. I think maybe he didn't do things as well as he should for certain reasons. But listen, as a director, I think he's a great director. I've loved his other movies. I just don't think he's a DCEU guy. I don't think he's I don't know. I wouldn't say he's his vision to me wasn't what I would prefer. But again, that's my opinion, right? I mean, you know, I'm, like I said, man, I'm old school. So I have old school values and opinions. So that could
Let's
be a
dive into that, Tony. Let's dive into that. What is it about Zack Snyder vision for the DCU that you don't like?
well. The major thing where I think he misstepped, Luis, is when you look at Kevin Feige, his vision, the way they did things at Marvel, the character development, all of that stuff that went into Marvel. Now, listen, I'm just as much of a DC fan as I am a Marvel fan. I'm not trying to diss any part here. I'm a comic book fan. I love all superheroes, right? So, I mean, Superman is my number one, as you know, Luis. But, here's the thing, guys. It just the whole premise of his vision doesn't make sense to me because of one main reason. Now, yes, there's takes on Superman that he did that maybe I don't agree with, but the number one thing that I disagree with, okay, is I don't know if anybody is familiar with the 1986 Dark Knight Frank Miller limited run series that Zack based Ben Affleck's Batman on.
Yes.
Have you read it? Has everybody read it? Does everybody know what's behind that Batman? That is an Elseworlds Batman story. Okay? It's an Elseworlds Batman story. Batman is 55, and you can fact check me, Luis. It's a 55-year-old Batman in an alternate Earth. That Batman had nothing to do with Detective Comics or Batman comics at the time in 1986. By the way, I will grant it was a very popular miniseries, but it was also very controversial back then. Okay? So I was in the camp. I didn't really care for it when it came out, but there was a lot of people who liked it. Okay? And the controversy remains to that story. And to this day, people say that that's the book that really started driving the comic industry more towards older readers and viewers as per kids. That miniseries started it. That's really the controversy about that book. So my thing is, if you're starting a universe, okay, and you're eventually going to Justice League, okay, that is not the representation of Batman that you should be using. If you want to do a Justice League 20 years in the future, by all means, go for it. Then that's the Batman you should have. That's the Batman you should go with. But the Batman, it's just not a traditional Batman that you would have. To me, it just doesn't make sense. If you're going to build up to a Justice League, you just don't use that Batman. Now, again, I'm going to say, Ben Affleck killed that version of Batman. I thought he did a tremendous job. I'm not dissing Ben. I'm not dissing the way he played it. What doesn't make sense to me is the choice to use that Batman to start a universe. That Batman should have been a futuristic tale or universe Batman if you wanted to use them in that aspect.
Well, okay. Let me counterpart that. And then I'm gonna have Nelly and then Jacob counterpart you. Then I'm gonna bring in Angel. He's with you. He doesn't like Zack Snyder vision for the DCEU. Then I'm gonna bring in my homeboy Begga. He's my kryptonite for you two. Couple of things that you said is very interesting. Okay, and the number one, it drives me crazy. So you wanted DC to take Marvel blueprint, and see, that's why I have a problem there. No, that's what you said in the beginning. You said that Marvel, Kevin Feige, okay, was into character development. Okay, yep. Now there's different ways how to develop a character. Number two, DC is not Marvel.
Correct.
DC is supposed to be different.
Correct.
So then if people, not you, but if people wanted DC to copy Marvel blueprint, then to me DC would have been a watered down Marvel wannabe. And I don't like that. I want DC to be different. Number two, going back to what you said about Ben Affleck. Again, your mentality is that you wanted a younger version, maybe a Ben Affleck Batman, younger version to tell a story to lead up to. That's basically what you're saying. You wanted a younger version Batman, maybe do Ben Affleck and do him younger,
like maybe Pattinson a couple years older. Like that Batman should have been the Batman you're starting the universe with.
Okay, so then what do you say with the fans that absolutely love that Ben Affleck Batman, that understands Zack Snyder? What do you say to them?
Listen, I'll say the same thing to all the people who love the Dark Knight comic. That's great. That's your choice. You love it, fine. I personally didn't really care for it, but it's people's opinion, right? I mean, I'm just saying from my point of view, okay, they could have went traditional with everybody else, Luis. Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Shazam, they've gone traditional in every other superhero but Batman. He decided to go with an alternative universe Batman. To me, you don't do that starting a universe. Again, he's a Batman for 20 years later. Okay? He's 55 years old. There's no Dick Grayson. I mean, what Justice League did you guys grow up with? I mean, to me, it's wrong and it doesn't make sense. That's
all right.
That's my main.
Issue. I'm gonna let Eileen jump in. I'm gonna let Eileen a counterpoint and address what you said. Then Jacob, you're next. Go ahead, Eileen.
Yeah, I actually like that Tony mentioned a lot about Batman because I'm a really big Batman fan. But at the end of the day, being the Frank Miller's version of the comics, where Zack Snyder used that to be his inspiration of Ben Affleck, really brought in what Ben Affleck's vision of what the Justice League was like. He put in that dark side of it. And that's what the Frank Miller version was like. It's a lot darker, right? And that's what allows it to give it, the more blending feel when it comes to the characters. At the end of the day, like I said, Batman on the like Ben Affleck version was amazing, and I get where you're going, where you're trying to say, how are you going to progress that story given that he's a lot older, right? Instead of starting with somebody a lot younger.
He's not even in the main DC continuum. He's an alternate verse continuum. You understand? Yeah.
And I get it. Yeah, and I get it. But I get that. And a lot of people are going to start following that timeline. But to think that his character alone balances out that Boy Scout Superman, character that Zack Snyder put out there. And Ben Affleck was a great representation of that. I get where you're going. Like, a lot of people are not going to understand that if they don't follow the comics. But that's what Zack, was really out there, is for the comic book, fanatics, not the moviegoers, right? Let's say Marvel. There are a lot of people who appreciated the way Marvel did it. But I agree with Luis. Like, at the end of the day, that's not what DC wanted. That's not Zack Snyder's vision of how he wanted the Justice League DCEU universe to come out.
Go ahead, Jacob.
Tony, first of all, I gotta say, I respect what you've done for comics. You said you ran a comic store, right?
I think he does.
No, I'm a comic company, but so, yes, I worked in comic stores growing up. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, thank you for doing what you've done. That's you've helped get these stories and these characters, regardless of what version of them are of course depicted to these audiences, and reasons why people like me care about.
At the end of the day, man, it's all about, this is just movies, man. This isn't COVID.
Yeah.
I mean,
it really is. It's
movies
and characters.
Like I said, man, I've never been, unfortunately, when I would give my comments when people were going with the Snyder cut, I would give my comments to maybe, I had a different opinion. You're always just labeled a Snyder hater, and that's not not the case at all. If I have a different
Yes.
opinion, that doesn't mean I hate the man or I
Absolutely.
hate him as a person.
Tony, there's
You know?
I think there's a difference between a Snyder hater and a person who just don't agree with his vision. You're not a Snyder
Oh yeah.
hater. You just don't, and it's fine. I mean, not too many people know this. I didn't like Watchmen. I watch Watchmen, but I'm not on Twitter bashing Watchmen. I'm not on Twitter bashing the man. See, that's different. So you could now. I absolutely love 300. Oh my God, I love 300. So it's okay to respectfully disagree and move on. So you're not a Zack Snyder hater. So I want to bring in you, my man, Mr. Angelo. First of all, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where yes, you. Where are you from? How you doing today, man?
Well, I was ready to wear my Trump 2020 hat, thinking it was going to be a debate, but then you said
Oh
it was
my
going to be
Lord.
friendly. So I said, well, he's in Tampa, right? And the Devil Rays. I'm in Florida, also, by the way, guys.
A lot of
And
Florida kids here.
I was like, the Devil Rays. We almost had a World Series win, but we blew it. But it's okay. I'm a fan, so I want to give them a special shout out. Thank you, Louis, for having me on your show.
Mhm.
I'm from Miami, and we're a little bit under bad weather. But shout outs to Zod Rider also, who's in the chat room, and Tony. Like you, I'm kind of an old school type of dude. I'm in my 40s, even though I probably don't look it. And like you, I used to run a comic book shop back in the 90s for about 4 years, almost 5 years. It was in a flea market. And I grew up, loving comics since I was a kid. The first comic I ever picked up was a G.I. Joe comic.
Yeah.
And then a Captain American comic. And that was my introduction into comics.
Yeah.
And later on, I started picking up Batman, Superman, Spawn, The Crow, the late 90s stuff. And when we opened our shop, I had a pretty nice knowledge of comic books because I started really young. But the thing that always got me was that, I understood one thing, which I think a lot of fans fail to understand, is that every live action that we have of any comic book is its own interpretation, and it's meant to be seen as its own thing. There is no such thing as a direct adaptation to any comic book that's ever been done. So what directors do is they pick things that they might like from, like, say, The Long Halloween or The Killing Joke or whatever comic book you like for any of the DC movies or Marvel universe, like the End Games, the Avengers, whatever. And they pick apart storylines and they put them together in their script. That's what a good director and writer does. Now, there's a difference between a good director and writer and a good cinematographer and a good guy who does really beautiful artistic work. Zack Snyder is a master at making things look beautiful and putting a world together that it's just blowing your imagination away. The problem is he's horrible at telling stories. And that's my main issue. I don't have an issue with Superman killing because, like you said, Louis, Superman killed in Superman 2. Remember, you said Zod. Not Zod Rider, by the way, but General Zod. Got thrown out. And we know that, in the comics, there's been issues before that Superman has had to do things beyond the normal. Batman as well. Every comic book hero has that, time that they have to kill. Some do it more than others, like the Punisher, but some don't. Some, it's a moral thing. One thing about, Superman, though, is Superman is supposed to represent Americana. He's supposed to represent the best of this country, the best of humanity, the best, of everything that is good. He's the Blue Boy Scout. And Zack Snyder failed to put that in his movie. And when you put Superman and you put Batman in a movie and you make pretty much both of them kind of the same dark character, it fails to, live up to one thing. When you put Superman and Batman together, they're the yin and the yang to each other, the light and the day. And they're supposed to be represented as the light and day towards each other. And that's something that I think Zack Snyder failed at. I love 300. I love a lot of, some of his past work. I think when it comes to comic book movies and movies, he has to really develop storylines. He kind of fails that. There was really nothing original about Man of Steel, and we can debate that, but I'm pretty sure if I tell you a couple key points, you guys probably didn't think about it, and you're going to be like, oh, man, I didn't think of that, and it'll blow your mind when you start hearing little things. As a person who writes scripts myself, when I look at a movie, I don't just watch it for how beautiful the artwork looks, even though I'm mesmerized by the direction and the cinematography, but I tend to look also at the writer, the way they're putting scenes together, what everything means storyline, narrative wise. And there's a lot of things that Zack Snyder did, which was cookie cutter story wise. I blame not just so much him, but the editing. I blame the writers that were involved in Men of Steel, Batman v Superman, Justice League. Those are all involved. But at the end of the day, you also have to put Zack Snyder at fault because he is the director, and it's his vision, right? And he set everything up. And you also have to blame Christopher Nolan a little bit, who I love, but Christopher Nolan was the producer who picked Zack Snyder. Without him, you don't have the DCEU. That's just kind of like the way it is.
Now here's my counter to that. As far as Zack Snyder being responsible, yes, he's responsible per se, but as we all know, there was a lot of people in the studio that meddled in his movie.
Well, not in all of them. Not in all of them. Not in Man of Steel.
No. Not Man of Steel. No, not really Man of Steel. Not really Man of Steel. However, Batman versus Superman, you had a lot of meddling there. Justice League. Now let's find out. Let's see what Justice League product is now. Now that he has full control, he has 100% final say on his cut. So let's leave Justice League aside for a second, okay? Let's leave Justice League now. Just like you, I'm also in my 40s, so I'm old school. Okay, I'm actually 46.
It's the older guys against the younger guys.
Right, 46. But I'm 46, old school. But I'm with these generation. Now, the thing that drives me crazy again is that people say that, like you just said, that Zack doesn't know how to tell a story. But so tell me, what part of Man of Steel that you had an issue with?
Well, the entire premise of the movie is very silly, and it's lifted directly from Superman Returns. And you're probably going, what? What are you talking about, Superman Returns? Well, you have two movies where the bad guys trying to create new Krypton on Earth. That's lifted right from Superman Returns. You have two movies where it makes absolutely no sense, the plot of the movie and why they're trying to create land it's not inhabitable. Because if you create new land on Earth in Men of Steel, for example, you have to also dwarf the sun because they come from a red dwarf, and they didn't do that. So why would you terraform a planet which is going to make you lose all your powers and make you human, basically to kill a species, to terraform a planet which is not going to work because you didn't work on the sun first. So that part is silly. Okay,
so your issue is, and we're gonna give my guest, and I'm gonna introduce Vega. So your issue is, first of all, you have a problem of General Zod basically coming on Earth and basically make Earth into Krypton. That's basically what you're telling me.
No. That's part of the problem. There's pieces. That's like a very
let's
minute. That we're just starting off with the piece.
Okay,
so a little piece.
Right. Let's address that first. Okay. I'm gonna give the opportunity to Vega to that part. Hey, Vega, what's up, my man? How you doing, man?
How's it going, everybody?
Nice setup there, Vega.
Yeah, we're having a good old fashioned debate. So
very close.
Now,
I like it. I like it.
What's up, Krypton? Who's here? Loco J. What up? So he has an issue with the plot of General Zod wanting to save his own kind. Krypton is no longer exists. Okay, so think about that.
It's not even saving his own kind, because he could save his own kind, and he could still easily. It's the codec, right? It's him getting the people genetically brought back. No, it's in Superman. It's in Superman. So his whole agenda is really kill Superman, and you could create your entire species. You don't have to terraform the planet. Hell, now you're gonna have a planet full of
Okay, so say that again. Okay. So you're saying so you're saying that he should have killed Superman, right? Now, correct me if I'm wrong.
Hold on. Isn't that the only way he could get the codec? It's even said in the movie.
Okay, but let's just say
kill Superman to get the codec. Right, so there's no argument there. We can leave that. That's no argument.
No, but okay, but kill him. But I want. Okay, so I actually
one of them has to die, and I have no issues with him killing Zod. None.
No. I'm not saying that.
Okay.
Okay, I was not going to say that. You're saying that the plot should be that he should have get the coding by killing Superman. Now, I don't know. The Man of Steel that I watched, when they found out the coding wasn't Superman, what did they tell General Zod to do to Superman? Can anybody help me here, Vega? Can you help me here, please? I'm gonna
give it to them, Vega.
Well, right. No. So okay, to what Angelo's saying, he's correct to a certain degree. Like, yes, I believe General Zod asked the scientist, does he have to be alive? The response was, necessarily he doesn't, but technically he could. So it wasn't an issue of whether killing him or not. Now, as far as what was the point as to terraforming the Earth if the sun was yellow or a yellow sun, honestly, that doesn't make a difference, because the only reason that the sun is yellow to our planet is because it's a younger star, while the red sun on Krypton, by the time we saw Krypton where it was at, was a way older star as to why it's red. At one point, you would have to assume it was also yellow when it was younger. So I don't.
Here's where I contradict that, though. If you know space and you know how the way things work in the real world, you understand when you have the certain hibernation zone or the possible zone for life in the solar system, the star size and the actual star, the way it is represented, is very important for the habitable zone. So when you have a red dwarf, it emits a lot less light. So in other words, if you have new Krypton with sun like the one we have, it'll probably evaporate them, because it's a lot different of an atmosphere needed for that sun. So you really need to, and not only that,
but that's assuming that the Earth.
The distance also of the two are, completely off. From what Krypton was to its own native, sun, to what the sun is in Earth compared to, our sun. So the distance is different. You have two different stars, compared to each other. Planets are different size. But the point is, terraforming the planets, it's kind of a silly thing. If they get here, they're already the dominant species. Why would you want to give away your powers and, everybody ordinary?
I thought about that too, in the sense of, like, if I was Zod and I already saw Superman, like, oh man, this guy's peak power. Why not just share that power? And we'll be the elites. Trust me, I mean, all of that, it could be true, but I mean, now it's like, all right, now I'm just gonna give the storyteller a hard time. There's certain things that in any story, honestly, in most stories, plots have to be driven. You know what I mean? And sometimes in a lot of plots, you can always question.
Excuse me, Becca. Here's my thing with that. Okay. I understand what you're saying, Angelo. Okay,
Angel. There's no low at the end, but it's cool.
Okay. My bad. Angel. I understand what you're saying about the sun and the red sun, the yellow sun, the purple sun, the orange sun, the black sun, the white sun. I mean, I understand what you're saying about that. Here's my thing. Okay, how many people do you think going to know that about Superman? Number one. Number two, if people who watch Batman versus Superman question how come Superman didn't save the people in that courthouse, and they didn't understand that Superman cannot see to lead. If they did not understand that, what makes you think they're going to understand what you're saying? You see, sometimes you have to simplify things when you're watching a movie. Now, I get what you're saying, but honestly, it's still that theory that you just gave to me about the yellow sun, the red sun, and all that stuff. It still doesn't change my mind why they couldn't turn Earth into Krypton. That's not
because it makes no sense.
For you, it doesn't make sense.
You know,
doesn't.
in the end of the day,
It's silly.
also what I was gonna say about the Earth change to Krypton was that, you know, again, when you're looking at it from the science that we saw in the movie, because yeah, obviously we have our own sciences within reality that, like you said, explain certain things like the distance between the Earth and the sun, you know, the size of a star, all that. Yeah,
The habitable zone between star, all that stuff. Yeah, there's a science behind it.
Those are science things, you know. But when you're looking just at the science of the movie, and yeah, like Lo said, yeah, I mean, you want to keep it simple, but I don't think it was really that simple. In the end of the day, once again, when you're looking at Krypton and the red sun in that movie, it's an older planet. They've been here for a while. So if I were to understand what was going to happen to Earth if it was terraformed to Krypton, if you were going to just see a younger Krypton as well, and obviously then when you're looking at genetic code, Zod is he's a conqueror. You know what I'm saying? He's not a reasonable man. You get that already from the beginning of the movie. When he was when he started his coup. Now, in his DNA, he is designed, because mind you, that was the other thing you have to pay attention to in the movie, is that the General Zod comes from a
military background.
That's exactly it. But here's the thing: he's not so much a conqueror; he's a military guy. He's a military guy.
Look, the thing is
his strategy was completely off for a military guy.
Zod and a lot of those Kryptonians by that time weren't birthed naturally. So their DNA, their coding are all designed. And that's one thing we have to keep in mind. So these Kryptonians were more like robots rather than creatures of free will, you know. So that's why General Zod was so one-minded when it came to this whole thing.
I have no idea that. That's not even part of my argument.
Yeah,
none of that's part of my argument. None of the codex stuff is part of my argument. Like I said, the whole terraforming the planet is one of the small pieces compared to the larger piece. I had issues with casting. I had issues with the story, the way it was kind of dragging out for a lot of it.
Let's hold off because I want to get into the casting just okay, but I want to give Frank and I want to give Eileen and I want to give Jacob a chance to come back, what you say. So I'm gonna start with Eileen. Eileen, do you have an issue with General Zod basically transforming Earth into Krypton?
No, absolutely not. And then again, at the end of the day, we're not looking at it earthly scientifically, right? At the end of the day, to everybody else's point, the way they were built was really robotic in a sense that my mindset was to just destroy. You get what I mean? It's not, it's not fully about making it all scientific. And I don't disagree with, with Angel's vision, but let alone the fact that the movie itself, right, Man of Steel, there were a lot of, elements of the Superman character that was really underdeveloped. I could agree. But that's the reason why Zack Snyder, when he was building the Batman's versus Superman, and you see the theatrical version of it, you'll be able to see him put bits and pieces and magnifying that story of Superman in that movie, being so that Man of Steel was a little bit underdeveloped with the Superman or Clark Kent character, right? I get it. But the storytelling side, I think, was masked because of the way it was released. So I'm not going to put full blame on Zack Snyder on that. There were a lot of things that were definitely left out that should have been left out. When the movie was first released, a lot of people thought, it just doesn't make any sense. But when the theatrical versions got released, that's when everybody said, oh yeah, it does make sense.
No, so not everybody. A lot of people thought it was just a longer cut of a bad movie, like myself.
Well, and again, because to Lou's point earlier,
people use that. Everybody thought it. No, sweetie, that's not the way it works.
No, the numbers say otherwise. I'll say that. The numbers do say otherwise.
Jacob, what do you what do you have an issue with General Zod a military, because a military person's job is to seek and destroy. To me, I think the opposite of what Angel's saying. It totally goes into what a military person will do. Their job is to seek, conquer, destroy. So, Jacob, what do you say to Angel? He said it was a small portion. And then Tony's going to be next up because I see the Yankee fan. And by the way, Tony, now that the Mets have the richest owner in sports, the richest owner in sports, watch out, baby, for the Mets. But that's for another show.
I feel your pain, Luis. I feel your pain, brother.
Don't worry, the Marlins are going to suck next year too. So I'm hoping the Tampa goes back to the World Series.
Right. So Jacob, what do you say with Angel part as far as General Zod turning Earth into Krypton?
Well, first of all, Angel, right? You are a screenwriter, correct? You have experience, right?
Well, I've written a few scripts, and I've participated in 3 movies that were done about 10 to 15 years ago.
Right.
By a couple of directors. I worked on scoring for them. The gentleman's name is Tico Herrera. The writer knows who he is. Unfortunately, the movies have been shelved for years because differences of opinion between directors, producers, and it's not easy to get independent movies released. But yeah, I've worked on some projects that had a pretty decent budget, and some that had very little budget. But you can do a whole lot with technology and not have a whole big budget as long as you have a cooperation and a good idea behind it. So get a Blair Witch Project.
Right. So you have a great understanding of storytelling, and it's made impact on you to be able to, propel you into a direction. What I am going to ask, before I make my point is that, you understand that while I, again, I'm not, as you mentioned, I'm not, as experienced or, as old as some other people on the stream. But,
experience is, it's over, age is overvalued when it comes to experience, because you could be a young person and have a lot of experience. Right. And that's why you get some people that say, oh, he's older beyond his years. So wisdom comes to those, young and old. It doesn't matter.
Right.
So
absolutely.
I'm not going to put you down because you're young and naive. So don't worry.
I would say I would disagree with the naive part. I would say that Zack Snyder's storytelling has made a really significant impact in my life. Whether or not you agree with that is of course up to you. But personally, the fact of the matter is
I don't see why not.
Is that Zack Snyder's storytelling through multiple films, including the DCEU, have put me in a position where I would love to be in your career.
Well, here's the thing. Like I said, every movie is subjective to the interpretation of whoever. So you might think that something is great because you're looking at it through your own perspective and through your own eyes.
Absolutely.
You might not be looking at it and dissecting it the way like somebody who's written a script before, or who's done a certain project when it comes to like behind the scenes, and it'll see how editing works. And I mean, but you're seeing it as a fan, and that's completely an honest take on your part. So I respect
I've seen
that.
it a little bit more than a fan. I'm currently doing a research project on film right now.
Oh, cool. Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm doing my thesis for college on some of Zack Snyder's films. So I've been able to actually look at him from a very critical perspective. And I totally understand what some of the other people in the room, I understand. I get it. You grew up with these characters, and, to see these characters, of course, not be portrayed in the way you want. I understand that. And, of course, while I don't have a career like Angel does here, what I will say about the Krypton stuff, would you tell me what genre Man of Steel is?
Man of Steel, I would put it. I wouldn't say it's science fiction so much. I would say it's action fantasy.
All right, so fantasy is the key word there. Fantasy is the key word.
But the thing is, when you talk about, I'm talking about Superman in general, and all these movies are fantasy related. Now you could also put Man of Steel in there, but they also did something in that movie which Nolan did in his Batman movies. They tried to ground it as much in reality as possible. Yes. So when you try to walk both lines, then
Zack Snyder is very much like he does have a stylized element to his films.
Right.
Yes.
No, and I have no issues with his style because, like I said, he can paint a beautiful picture. The problem
I
is
would
the
like
storyline.
I would like to hear what Jacob, because Jacob, I think that is a fascinating point as far as fantasy. So go ahead. I'm curious to know what you're gonna say.
So I think when it comes to little elements like that, and of course it's irresponsible to just dismiss everything as plot armor, and it's of course important to defend elements of films that legitimately don't make sense. So you know what, you're right. You are right. Listen, Krypton's sun was different than Earth's. General Zod messed up. Yeah, he did. And I'm not here to disagree with you on that. What I will say is that, like other people have said, when you put someone into the position that General Zod was in, but you do not give them free will, like other people like Superman had, they are not able to see outside the scope of their own rationality and have a sense of realism that would be needed for a Christopher Nolan like film. So, in my opinion, General Zod is not merely the logical protagonist. He is the opposite. He is the reason why Krypton needs to be destroyed. The old idea of Krypton. He is the Old Testament. The New Testament needs to come forth in this version of Superman, and that is free will. So that, well, if let's say Superman was in the position of Zod and he needed to find a new planet, that he wouldn't go towards a small little sun like ours.
Tony, I'm gonna let Tony. You gotta admit that's a great point by Jacob. You have to admit that is a powerful point. Oh my gosh, what do you think?
Louis.
Okay, so
Tony, go for it, Tony. Hit him hard.
All right. Here's what I'm going to pick up on, and I think Neely said some things when she was talking that I want to pick up on. Is that to me how I feel is Superman. Zack Snyder should have not had Superman fight Zod in his first movie. Superman should have had time to grow, to be more tactful, to be a better fighter, to be more experienced. He's fighting a general that knows everything about tactical and everything.
Remember, a general who got his ass whooped by a scientist and a farm boy. I'm just saying, not a very tough general.
But in theory, I mean, when he's fighting three, okay, he's fighting three people.
Being honest,
in his first movie, I think that's a little much to put him into. I mean, he just learned how to fly, for God's sakes, and now he has to fight three Kryptonians in his first movie. I think I would have rather him maybe did a Lex Luthor in his first movie and maybe, started to know his powers and do some things and get, get a little more acclimated.
Can I jump in there real quick? Because
let me do a quick one on that one. Here's the problem that I have with that, Tony. I've seen that before. It's called Christopher Reeve Superman 1 and 2. What you're saying that you wanted Lex Luthor number one, I already seen that interpretation. It's called it's Richard Donner Superman. I've seen that before. So then here we go again. We're gonna copy something that was already made, and I think Zack Snyder already established that he wanted something different. I want something different. If okay, I'm not sure if you guys got no wrestling.
But hold on, but Jesse Eisenberg different because that's a disaster when it comes to casting. That's like the worst casting in the history of casting for any part in the movie. Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor in Batman vs Superman. That literally has to go down.
That disaster.
I love him.
Me too.
That has to go down as the worst.
I like him.
I think that's a modern
worst
version.
casting ever.
I feel like that's just a modern version, a modern take of what Alexa
now watch this
in this world.
guys.
No, Michael Rosenbaum from Smallville was a better take. John Cryer's been a better take on TV and a horrible TV show.
But those are pastimes.
He's nuts,
Guys,
right? He's crazy.
Guys, I think I'm old school, and I'm gonna throw out a name, and if I'm correct in my mind, I bet you Tony and Angel will choose this person over Jesse. Okay.
Billy Zane.
I know who you're gonna say.
Okay. Here it goes. And I think he could have pulled it off. I like Jesse. Don't get me wrong. I like him, but I wanted this person for Lex Luger. You ready? You ready for this one?
Lex Luger or Lex? Yeah.
Bruce Willis.
Lex Luger.
Oh
Wait,
no,
Bruce
no,
Willis.
no.
Absolutely, he would have killed it. Absolutely.
Have you seen
Ledger shouldn't be
3
Joker.
Die Hard
Heath
movies,
Ledger
man?
should never be
No.
Joker.
He hasn't made a good movie since Die Hard with a Vengeance. No, man, no.
He could do it. Wait, hold on. Why?
Because he doesn't make good movies anymore, and he's just not a good actor.
Okay.
He was a good actor in the '90s, so Die Hard with a Vengeance. Then he went into La La Land, and he hasn't recovered since. He phones in every movie he's done ever since. He phones in the performance. He's not a good actor. He wasn't a good actor then, but he had charisma.
Okay, hold on, Angel. So which one is it? Okay, because you're saying that he doesn't make good movies. Early on, you killed the director that is the director for. Now you claim the actor. So which one is it? You can't have it both ways. No, hold on.
Brother, hold on. You're getting too upset. I thought this wasn't a Trump debate. Relax.
No.
What I'm trying to get at is Bruce Willis is not a good actor now, and he doesn't fit these kind of movies. No. See, exactly. No Bruce Willis. Now, if I'm going to pick an actor for Lex Luthor from an actor who is a little bit older, I'll go with Billy Zane, who should have been Lex Luthor years and years ago. Billy Zane well, look it up on Google. There's millions of fans that feel different. Like I said, it's all subjective.
Who is it again?
Billy Zane.
Yeah,
Billy Zane.
Billy Zane. Yeah, Billy Zane.
He looks identical to the comic book and to the animated series.
And Bruce Willis don't. With the bald head. Bruce Willis don't.
Bruce Willis does not actually. No.
Tony,
Bruce Willis looks like a shell of his old self. He looks like a broken down Bruce Willis.
Okay, hold on, but wasn't Gene Hackman and old Lex Luthor?
Yeah, but that doesn't make two wrongs don't make it right. Two wrongs don't make it right. Gene Hackman wasn't good for Lex either, so two wrongs don't make it right.
Oh my God, Gene Hackman won an Academy Award. What are you talking about?
It doesn't matter. I don't care.
He has to be a good actor, and Gene Hackman is an awesome actor.
Titanic won an Academy Award, and it's a piece of crap. Doesn't matter.
Well, then define good acting.
So let's be honest here.
Good acting then.
Angel, why wasn't Jesse Eisenberg a perfect Lex for this particular time?
Because if you pick him as Jimmy Olsen, I say hell yeah. But if you pick him as Lex Luthor, I say you're wasting your time. He's just not right. He doesn't look like the character, doesn't act like the character. He acts like a goofball. He is perfect for Jimmy Olsen, but not Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor is a completely different character.
From this Luthor. What are you saying?
Huh?
I didn't get no goofball from him in the BVS.
Seriously,
I get a
that
guy
whole Gideon,
like,
look at that Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne. Oh my God! Oh, let me give you a gummy bear. I mean, come on. That's silly. That's silly.
And here's the thing.
Come on, guys.
Here's the thing with Tony. As far as I get what you're saying, but then he makes a good point. The problem with that, it doesn't make sense that to have Superman without any knowledge of Lex Luthor or Lex. I mean, so you wanted the first Superman to be about Lex Luthor. Well, then how does Lex Luthor find about him? I mean,
better question. Well, how does Lex Luthor have the icon of every superhero that even they don't know who they are, but yet he has like their logo, like the Flash and all these logos? That's never explained.
Okay, well, hold on.
And did he have somebody on Photoshop creating these logos? Do you really need to
explain that? It's like saying why Superman let that chair blow up. Do you really need to explain to people that the reason why he can't see through lead?
Well, the Flash was in the Flash. The Flash didn't have a logo yet. He wasn't even calling himself the Flash yet, but he had the Flash logo. Like he had somebody on Photoshop going, yeah, we need to give these guys their own logos to make them look cool. Whatever reason. For Mr. Luthor.
Okay, Tony. Okay, let's go back here. Tony, yes or no? In the comics, isn't Lex Luthor a genius? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so then we already established
that's not an argument. Hold on. An argument. That's not an argument.
Some things don't need to be explained. I think what Louis
you just said that they need to explain how did Lex Luthor get those icons. It needed to be explained. It doesn't need to be explained because everybody knows that Lex Luthor is a
that's
genius.
not an answer. That's just a weak argument. That's like
It's
saying,
not a
well,
weak argument.
I wanted to breast the baby. Yeah, we all know that, but you know,
No,
like,
it's
you
a
know,
weak.
that's
It's not a
that's
weak
not an
argument. Everybody
low-key-
knows that Lex Luthor is a genius.
Hold on,
But okay, so he's so smart. He had a guy in Photoshop saying, "Yeah, we're gonna give him a Flash logo. Like, you know, we're gonna call him the Flash, and this guy's, you know,
I
we're
don't
gonna
think
call
the
him
logo was
Superman."
because it was a Flash logo. I think the logo for Flash was because when you see him manifesting his powers, you see the manifestation of the lightning. I think that's why you see the lightning. This reason
And
you
I'll
see
admit
a
that
scene
is
with
a little
Cyborg.
that is a little cheesy. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie to you.
no,
Listen,
Thank you.
it is
Thank
cheesy.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
It's not
There's
to
no
say
need
that
for any of that stuff. It's
yeah,
just
it
a
is-
cheesy
it's not to
add-on
say
stuff.
that,
I don't
it's
think there
even-
isn't a need for it, but it is cheesy.
Thank you.
It's
I
more,
recognize
it's,
that.
Look, it's actually the simple answer there really is it's really for the audience. That's all it was for.
See, we can work bipartisan here, you and me. There, we could do a little
You know, that's
bipartisan
what
stuff
it's
there.
for. But like, yeah, it's you know, there are things you're gonna be like, well, that doesn't make, you know, if you're really looking at it like with a magnifying glass. But when you're looking at that, the simple answer is it was mostly for the audience. It wasn't really because how did Luther know, or you know, why the insignia is already discovered. It's not really, you know, it's not really meant to break that down. It's just so that the audience knows, oh, that's for Wonder Woman, oh, that's for Flash, oh, that's for Cyborg, or that's for Aquaman. That's all that was. And I mean, you can, and if I were to try and explain it, like I said, the lightning, to me, making sense in my mind is, oh, the lightning, you see Flash have lightning.
Okay, but who
Let's
knows
see, for
about Wonder Woman?
Cyborg, he's a
But who
cyborg.
knew about Wonder Woman at that
Woman's
point?
already been, well, what do you mean? If you look at the Wonder Woman movie, her movie is way before the time of
Right.
Man of Steel.
But
Yes,
Superman didn't know about
and
Wonder Woman, neither did Batman, and I mean,
but
so
they're not
Lex
the
is
ones
the
who
only one.
came. They're
That
not,
Lex
but,
is the only
well,
one that knew.
because Lex has connections. If you didn't get that from
So
watching,
he's
BVS, you're
better
not
than
paying attention.
he's better than Bruce Wayne, who's the best detective on earth.
In the end of the day, he is actually the only competition when it comes to IQ level in the DC universe. It's literally between Bruce Wayne and Lex Luthor. So yeah, I would say he might actually have one up on Batman in this movie. He definitely did, for sure.
Well, it is Ben Affleck, so
I take it that you don't like Ben Affleck as Batman.
Man. I don't,
I don't like him as Batman, but I don't have a personal
I
issue with him.
We gotta chop it up some other time. I'm curious to know exactly your takes on other movies, because you're heavy with
He's
the
great.
magnifying
He's great in
glass.
a Kevin Smith movie, but you know, like his superhero stuff has kind of been a big letdown so far.
What's your vision for Batman? I can't believe I'm asking this question. Well, you want a Batman to be what, 5'7", 5'8", you know, skinny and you know, no karate? I mean, what is it that you wanted the Batman to be?
No. Batman's size, 6'1", 6'2", 230, 220, whatever his size in the comics is fine. Christian Bale is fine. Anybody like that size.
You just described Christian Bale.
Christian Bale got that. He got actually bigger, and they had to cut him down a little bit. But it doesn't matter the size of the Batman. It's the actor in the suit. The reason I didn't like Ben Affleck for the Batman role is because he's too big of a movie star. When you look at him as Batman, you're really looking at Ben Affleck, and it's hard to take away that this is Batman. When you know his history, he's been Daredevil.
I think
you've seen who he's been before.
I think that goes back to what Aline was saying, though. When you're looking at these films were not made for the average moviegoer. They were made for either the DC fan. And I say DC fan because what I noticed, one thing about this conversation is everybody's referencing back to comics as if that's the only source material there is when it comes to
not me
seeking inspiration. When you look at Zack's work, a lot, and you know what, we say Zack's work, but I will say I'm actually a fan of Chris Terrio. I love the writing of those movies. I think that's what makes those movies separate from what most comic movies are.
The writer, Chris Terrio?
Yeah.
The guy who screwed up not only the DCEU but also Star Wars, Chris Terrio, the Rise of Skywalker.
In your opinion,
and who keeps failing upwards in life because he other than Argo, what other good work has he done? Because he did Argo and then he failed in 2 other projects. So what else?
BVS was great. Because look at the thing, like when you look at most comic books dialogue, they're simplistic. They don't really force you to think. It doesn't force you to know things. When you're looking at it and going back to like even the Man of Steel story plot, one thing that drew me to that movie was the fact that the script and the storytelling was very philosophical, very even theological, which really is true to the nature of Superman. If you know, which obviously you guys know, like his blueprint, what he represents. It's actually, I mean, yeah, Americana is like one perspective, but it's actually not just the Americana look. We all know that when you look at the blueprint of Superman, he's really like a almost like a copy and paste of Jesus Christ. He is supposed to be the savior, especially in
There's
this
the
movie.
there's that
Especially
controversial.
in this, yeah, and I know a lot of people find, but in this movie, that's why if you follow the dialogue, it is painting that the whole way through. From the beginning, when Jor-El's painting already, he's saying he'll be a god to them. Already at that point, he's establishing that this guy's going to be something more than what we are, whatever. Then he gets sent to Earth from wherever he was from, right? And the decisions he has to make as far as who he's going to choose, whether it's going to be humankind or not, and when you really look at it closely,
but what is different from every other iteration of Superman? It's always been like that, even on Smallville.
and that's what I'm saying. That's what I was trying to say. That's
there
true
was
to the
nothing.
nature
There
of-
was nothing. There was nothing different than Zack Snyder did in that part of the story.
But it was, what I will say is, and nobody take offense to this, but what I'm saying is prior Superman films before this one, they're great, but they didn't pull me in the way this Man of Steel did. To be honest with you guys, and that again, everything's subjective here. It's all our own opinion, really, right?
Yeah.
So, but to me, that movie, Man of Steel, drew me more into the character of Superman. Like, I really wasn't that big. Like, well, first of all, you see my hat. You know what I'm saying? You see behind me, there's a lot of I'm a Batman guy, like, to the core, right? So when it comes to even the Ben Affleck Batman, to me, that was like the closest portrayal I've ever seen. That portrayed the most recent iterations of Batman, especially from the animated series, the Justice League cartoon, and even to the argument that I know Tony made earlier about his age. When you are looking at the show Justice League, you're already looking at older Batman. Like, and I think that's something that like evades us, is that I'm not
There's
sure if
also
the comics.
a Robin, though. There's also a Robin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Let me ask you a question. I want to. Excuse me. I want to get Jacob and Nelly take on Jesse and Ben. Do you guys like Jesse as Lex Luthor? If you do, tell me why. I'm going to start with Jacob.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be here if I didn't, right?
You like gummy bears? Gummies.
Right.
Well, it was a Jolly Rancher, Angel, right?
Oh, Jolly
Rancher.
Rancher.
It's
sorry.
What is it about that Lex Luthor that I like? It's, listen, of course, Gene Hackman to me comes off as a little cheesy. What comes off for Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor to me is someone who you would meet and you'd think, oh, they're kind of cool. They're a little quirky, but they're cool. What I personally liked was how each scene, as you go further throughout learning about him, he just is off, and but not in like a menacing, not just a menacing way, because I think there is something menacing about him, but it's more so the fact that he's unstable, like mentally, almost. And a lot of people have said, he would make a better Riddler, and I would say, he wouldn't make a bad Riddler. I just think it was a different version of Lex Luthor who
we're used to seeing.
Who was
That's
executed.
actually, that's an excellent point. They did kind of like mix a little bit of like the Riddler-esque way of like
his personality.
Yeah.
He wasn't laying clues or anything.
No,
but
no,
it was
no,
just
no.
his personality.
Yeah. I
So
agree with that. I can agree with that. Yeah.
I think he would have made a great Riddler. I really do. I think Jesse
everybody
would be a
thought
great
too.
Riddler.
Yeah. Because I
And
thought the same. I
Eileen,
thought the same.
what do you like Jesse as Lex Luthor?
Yeah. For the modern day Lex Luthor, they built his character really well. I mean, he was the sinister, right? He was the sinister. His, at the end of the day, you'd think that you'd come across somebody so smart, but has an ulterior motive, and that's exactly what his character built in the movie, and that's what put it out there.
And what about Ben Affleck? Angel doesn't like Ben Affleck as Batman because he's too manly. So
No, he's not manly enough, actually.
No, Ben
Talks
Affleck
about
as
this.
Batman was your sophisticated candor. He was perfect for the role. If you say he's not manly enough, he was perfectly casted.
I'll
no,
say this:
that's
he
just
wasn't,
me.
he wasn't
I'm
the
just being
worst thing in the movie.
sarcastic. Yeah, no, I was just being sorry. I was just doing a little elbow at Angel. He didn't say that.
You were,
He said,
you were,
I'll say
you're
I'll say
running
this. I'll say this: he wasn't the worst thing in the movie. Right.
Okay.
did you like the warehouse scene, Angel?
The action scenes were fine. I had no problem with the action in the movie.
No. That's not what I asked you. Did you like
The
Ben
war-
Affleck as warehouse scene? Yes or no?
Yeah, the scene was fine. I'm sure the stunt guys also did a good job. Who were in the suit also. It wasn't all Ben Affleck. I see the behind the scenes, but the scene was cut up fine. Look, I have no issue with like those kind of scenes. I have no issues with him killing if he has to. It's done in the past. That stuff doesn't bother me. It's
Right.
other things that I have issues with.
Right.
All right, so we're gonna play a little armchair, and I'm gonna start with Tony, then I'm gonna start with Angel, because this is the question that people who are against Zack Snyder Vision cannot seem to answer me. Okay, you're the CEO of Warner Brothers. You don't like Zack Snyder Vision, not the person, but Vision for the DCU. But there's a group out there that likes it, okay, that wants it. You're gonna make money. Would you release it or not release it? Yes or no? I'll start with Tony.
Well, here's the thing, Luis. I know there's been a lot of talk about numbers. If I were the CEO of WB, looking at just the sheer box office, okay? Now, you guys can make excuses about critics, about this, about that, but you'll know this, Luis. There's an NFL Hall of Fame coach that had a very, very powerful saying. His saying is when somebody asked him, right, when he was the coach of the New York Jets, I don't know if you're a Jets fan or not.
You
or Giants,
are what the record. You are.
we are what our record is.
I'm from Miami, Florida. No Jets.
Okay. In the movies, you are what your box office is. Period.
Okay.
That's true. That's
Okay.
true.
So then here's my question. So then let's go by that theory then. Then don't release Shazam 2 because it didn't make money. He only made $400 million. If you're gonna go that route,
But
if you're gonna go that route, okay, then why are they releasing Shazam 2? It didn't make money.
Shazam is a lot less known character than putting Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman together.
Hold on.
When you put at least
We made it about money.
hold on.
We made it about money. We made it about money.
Yeah, but I'm explaining to you. Let me explain it.
Angels,
If
right?
you put Shazam in the same category as Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Lex Luthor, and Brainiac, and all these other characters in a movie together, and you say Shazam should have performed better than that movie, that's ridiculous. Shazam performed exactly the way he should have performed.
No, that's not.
Shazam performed exactly the way he should have performed, and the sequel will do better. It's like Ant-Man performed fine, the sequel did better.
Angel,
You
that's
built up
not.
you
Sorry,
built
that's
up the
not.
universe.
wait,
That's
To the
not.
box-
That's not. Tony specifically used a Bill Parcells saying. You are what your record you says you are. Okay, so let's not let. Okay, everybody knows Superman is bigger than Shazam. That's not the argument. He made it about strict.
But you brought
murder.
Shazam
Hold on,
into
wait,
you brought Shazam into the movie.
No,
That's the
hold
wrong
on, hold on.
comparison.
Wait a
You
minute,
can't
wait a
compare
minute.
that.
But
No,
the
hold
box,
on.
hold on,
that.
wait. Look, hold on, Lewis. Let me say this right quick. It's perfect that he brought up the box office. Actually, I love when they bring up that part of the argument. I'll tell you why. We're making it seem as if Man of Steel actually didn't do numbers. We're making it seem as if hold on. We're making it seem as if BVS didn't do numbers. If we're talking box office.
No, they did numbers, but the
hold
problem
on.
was Man of
Now,
Steel did
wait,
slightly better than
wait.
Superman Returns, not a whole lot better.
Wait, hold on. Well, look, hold on. I'll mention the numbers. I'll mention the numbers what they were. Now,
And it costs more too, by the way.
Well, yeah. So now, when we look at Man of Steel, it made 600 and up in the box office. Return only made 300 and something, right, in the box office. But that's not even my argument. My argument, or not even argument, but I guess my point of view, let's just call it that, because I'm not arguing with nobody here. But my point of view is, if you were as a CEO, if you're looking at your launch, right? If you're looking at your launch compared to, let's just say they were looking at Marvel's launch. At least that's how they should have looked at it. You should have been looking at your launch compared to Marvel's launch. Marvel's first movie only did 500 million in the box office, while yours did 600 million in the box office.
But it was Iron Man, wasn't it?
Yeah, but what was the first Marvel movie? Which one?
It was not.
It was Iron Man. What?
No,
it was
It was the MCU. The MCU, not Marvel.
In the MCU, it was the Incredible Hulk.
It was the Incredible Hulk.
The Incredible Hulk, and that's not as big a character as Superman.
The one with Eric Banner.
No. That's the Hulk, and that's not part of the MCU. The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton.
That came after Iron Man. That came after Iron Man.
No, it was before.
No, it came before Iron Man. That led into Iron Man.
Trust me, no, it was.
I have the dates. I found them.
Okay, go ahead.
Iron Man was first. Iron Man was May 2nd, and then Incredible Hulk was in June.
And now,
but
now
storyline wise,
so let's stop storyline wise. Those two movies didn't do the same numbers for their launch than the numbers that you produced in your launch. And that's that when you looked at BVS, it made close. It almost made $1 billion. Let's not pretend like it wasn't almost there. It was in the 880 something million in the box office.
Okay, right? Vega, hold on. Vega, please, excuse me. Because this is for Tony, because he made it about money. Okay. Because he said how much Man of Steel made for a original movie. Here's Marvel. Iron Man made $583 million. So by your standard, it flopped. Then by your standard, it flopped.
Superman. You can't compare it.
Iron Man. I mean, he's a B character. Iron Man is
hold on.
Superman is the top character. Iron Man now has become the character. When Iron Man came out, hold on, guys. When Iron Man came out, you guys are forgetting this. When Iron Man the movie came out, Iron Man was not as loved of a character as he's become because of the actor who played him. Yeah. Iron Man for years didn't have that big of a fan base, and he still almost made as much as Man of Steel. Superman is the biggest icon in comic books, and next to him is Batman. That's it. Period. Iron Man is very bottom of the barrel for many decades. He became popular because of Robert Downey Jr., who played him and did a great job.
Superman was the biggest.
That defeats the argument, I think, right? If you're going to make, and again, if we're going to talk about casting, back then Robert Downey Jr. was just bouncing back, right? He didn't build the character. We didn't say, just like we would say that Ben Affleck was the greatest Batman. We didn't say that about Tony Stark being being portrayed by by him at that time. Right, Robert Downey Jr.
Right. But Robert Downey Jr. also had been in a lot of successful movies because of his history.
When we're talking about Superman here, Superman Returns came out, right? How long before that movie was there a Superman movie? I'll wait.
Since the 80s, but we had Smallville on TV. We had Superman on Smallville and Lois and Clark on TV.
But let's just be honest though. Like TV is not movies. Let's talk.
No,
about
yeah, that's
how
true.
many Batman
but you still
movies,
had Superman relevant.
How many Batman movies came out?
No, he was not. Come on, Angel. Please, you're gonna compare TV to movies. It's not the same thing. Please, it's not the same thing. Because if it was the same thing, then why you don't put Supergirl in the movies? Because Supergirl did very well in TV. So it's not the same.
Well, the TV show blows, but that's neither here nor there. But anyway,
I will
I'm not
say
a fan of Supergirl TV show. It's too progressive for my taste.
Let's give Jacob a chance. Go ahead, Jacob.
I think you do have a point. Listen, there is a precedence when it comes to Superman. There's a big precedence when it comes to a lot of these characters. Iron Man and Shazam are big risks. And furthermore, I'd like to bring up something from some of my research. When looking at box office numbers, did not look at the numbers themselves. In my opinion, I think it's more valuable to look on the return on investment for each of these films rather than simply the budget or the box office, because the budget versus the box office has a big part in it. How many times are you making how much you spent? And looking at a graph I have here, DC has been on a down trajectory since what I would say is their peak with The Dark Knight. Listen, it's a fact. Yeah. Marvel has been on an upward trajectory. Okay. Now in 2008, of course, The Dark Knight was like wildly more popular than Iron Man in terms of financial. And I'm looking here right now that can't not be disputed. No. Over time, there is a precedence. Okay. Marvel was making more money. Okay. Man of Steel in 2013, Marvel was at a 5% return on investment. Meanwhile, DC was at 3%. It's a fact.
What would it be compared to the launch? That's what I'm trying to get at. I don't like.
What do you mean the launch?
Well, see, because you're trying to base it. I mean, yeah, okay. DC as a whole is one thing. I was trying to just touch on the fact, like, when you're talking about cinematic universes, The Dark Knight is not a part of.
Right, and so that's an important part. Yeah.
Right. So that's why when I'm saying when we're talking launches, you can't match up Man of Steel to the MCU movie that were out at that time because they had already established themselves. You know what I mean?
Right.
They made their errors, they fixed them up, and then they were at a place where now they're profiting a lot more. What I'm trying to say is that if you're comparing your launch to their launch, you were on the right track, is what I'm saying. You just had to give it a shot, is what I was trying to say. It's like
had
they given that, like, let it play out the way Zack had intended, because clearly, and not just Zack, even like David Ayer, even Patty Jenkins, let it play out the way it's supposed to play out. And I just want to say, like, I feel like they would have seen those numbers come in the way they really wanted them to, but because they were trying to compare themselves to a cinematic universe that had already established itself, that had already figured out what errors to fix and move forward, you were kind of like, that's not the right perspective to have. I guess what I was trying to get.
Yeah, at. And I understand that.
I have a question. In a Marvel universe, would you agree that the two most popular character in Marvel are Spider-Man and the Incredible Hulk?
No,
I would say Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Spider-Man
is their golden boy.
Spider-Man, yes. Incredible Hulk, maybe not.
No, I would say Spider-Man and Captain America are probably the two most popular, and and that's debatable with Captain America over the last decade. But in the 80s, Captain America was huge for Marvel. So I mean, it all depends on the era.
We also forget X-Men, and I think X-Men was more popular.
Wolverine is probably the most
Wolverine
popular.
Next to Spider-Man.
Right.
Spider-Man is on top. I would say a close second would be Wolverine.
Yeah. My personal favorite character of all time, and this is going to shock everybody, I have 3 posters on my wall. If you guys want to see it, I'll move my camera to show you. But my favorite character, comic book wise, is Blade. So it has nothing even to do with these guys. And I'm not kidding.
Blade.
Look,
come on, man.
Hey, Marvel Phase 5, it's coming.
Come
See?
on, I love Blade.
Right there. Even Trinity. I love all
I
three
hope
of
I
them.
hope they
Yeah,
I hope
yeah,
they do a
same
good
here,
job
same
with that
here.
one. I really do.
Yeah, me
Right.
too.
But
So-
going back to Tony, I think I think it's kind of unfair to ask a launch a original comic book movie to make $1 billion, because you brought up Man of Steel, okay, and if you look at all the original story, close to $700 million is not chump change. It to me
And
it's
what?
a it's a and if Jacob, you could look this up. How much did it cost to make Man of Steel, and how much profit did they make?
It was like
Because
150, no?
when people bring up profit, and they make money, then when I bring up Shazam, they only make.
I can bring that up, by the way. I'm looking it up.
Okay,
I
go
have
ahead. Go ahead, tell me.
No, keep going. I'm just saying
Okay.
I'm ready whenever.
Okay, so going with Shazam. So when I bring up Shazam, that I made only $450 million. The next thing that people tell me is where, but they make money. So your argument. So you're gonna tell me,
But you're still on Shazam. That's a much lower character.
Yeah,
That movie got
yeah.
lucky to be made.
I wouldn't use Shazam
that's
as
why
a
the
comic
argument
book.
doesn't make sense about the money.
Hold on.
Yeah, yeah, it does, because you're still arguing. You're arguing oranges and apples.
I have Man of
they're
Steel.
completely different animals. No,
Yeah.
because
to
it
you-
is Shazam is
No,
not
but
as
to
popular
you-
or well known. Most people don't know who Shazam is. Before the movie came out, you could be like, "Who Shazam?" You say Captain Marvel. They're like, "Who?"
Yeah,
They would know Captain Marvel. No, nothing. But
Nobody
you say
knows.
Superman,
Yeah.
you go to Africa, and they're gonna know who Superman is.
Well,
Right.
I'm not
He's
comparing.
universally known.
I'm not comparing Shazam to Superman. I'm not trying to do that.
Or
However,
Batman, or even for
no,
hell, even Spawn is more known than
I mean,
Shazam.
Shazam is not even Green Lantern, so I get that. I understand that.
Wait, I want to hear. Yeah, Tony, go ahead. I want to see.
Let
Yeah.
me please make a point here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Yankee fan.
I understand what you guys are pulling apples, profitability, all of that is fine. Okay. But it all comes to projections and what that movie should have made. No matter how much profit they did make, it's how much more they should have made. Now,
Tony's right.
my point is, how in the hell you have the most two recognized symbols other than the crucifix in the world, Batman and Superman, together in the same movie,
And Wonder Woman,
and Wonder Woman, and you have the laughing stock of
Trinity.
Aquaman, the laughing stock of DC, make over $1 billion, but yet Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman.
Aquaman was the laughing.
That's
The
easy to answer.
Joker made $1
was.
billion.
Easy to answer.
How does
The
Can I answer that?
Joker made $1 billion.
Hold on,
By
I can
Aquaman
answer
was.
that, but my Snyder mutuals might not like it. But
Okay.
I can answer it.
Okay, I'm gonna answer that. I'm gonna answer that. Okay, I'm gonna just allow me time, please.
Go ahead, Louis. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perception, and I'm going to prove my point. Aline, let's just say, argument's sake, I don't know you. You live in the Philippines. I don't know if you're single, married. But let's just say, humor me for a second. You're single, right? A nice guy comes along, starts talking to you, right?
Oh,
Okay, hold on. And then you hear
I like where this is going.
everyone. You hear a lot of people telling you that guy's no good. That guy's no good. That guy's no good. What's gonna come to your mind?
I get what you're saying, Louis. I get what
No,
you're saying.
hold on. Hold on. What's gonna come to your mind? No, hold on. What's gonna come to your mind, Eileen?
I'm the very unpopular opinion kind of person. If somebody's going to come up to me and tell me, hey, don't go to that guy, he's a bad guy, he's bad news, I'm always going to be, let me figure that out myself first.
That's why I watched Batman v Superman. That's why I rented it. I heard it sucked and was like,
Exactly.
why not?
Let me be the judge of that, right? I'm the unpopular opinion person. I want to make sure that, if I think he's a bad person, if I think it was a bad movie, I'll give it a try. Right. And that's why, to everybody else's point, when we watched it, we felt it was a good movie.
Right.
but movies are subjective.
I have
Everybody
a
has a different enough opinion. That's
I
perfectly fine.
have. Okay. Well, to me, I personally know people that didn't want to watch Batman versus Superman. They didn't want to waste 2 hours of time in their life because they saw reviews that it was horrible. It was horrible. When you have critics guys, don't take this personally. This is me bashing the critics now. So it's my Puerto Rican, my New Yorkers blood pressure is about to rise. When you have critics already stating they're gonna give Zack Snyder Justice League a bad review without seeing it, for anyone to think that is not a conspiracy. You have your mind closed. You have critics that don't like Zack Snyder, that don't like it. They blocked me on Twitter. Telling me that they're gonna give it a bad review. And my question is, how can you work for Rotten Tomato? How can you be a critic? Already say judge a movie that you never seen. There are
those some stupid people. You're talking about idiots. I mean,
we can all agree. Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay, but that plays a role because maybe you guys, Tony, and I know you're objective person, and I'm referring to you. And I'm referring to Angel. So I want to. But there's a lot of people, especially on Twitter, all right, that already said that Zack Snyder Justice League sucked without even seeing it. Because the critic already gave it a bad review, so it is out there. The perception is out there.
But
the perception is out there because remember, when he left the project, there was a lot of talk that within Warner Brothers that they weren't happy. I know why he left the project because his daughter passed away. I understand all that.
No, he didn't leave the project. He was fired. Look, come on.
That's the reality of it. But the overall story that came out with is his daughter passed away. Left the project. Yeah, the narrative.
The narrative.
I'm talking about when he left the project, and I'm talking about the narrative. When he left the project, the talk before, we all found out he was fired, was that they were unhappy because they didn't like the cut that he left, the assembly cut, which is like a 4-hour, 5-hour cut. That was not
the assembly cut.
Well, that's what that's what the rumor was. I'm talking about the rumors. Okay. So that rumor already had started when he had left the project.
That's a lie.
So that's not the point. You're missing what I'm talking about.
He's saying what the narrative was.
What the rumors were between the fanboys. Right, and that's called and Nancy Pelosi talked about this. It's called the wrap-up smear, where fans who didn't like Zack Snyder for whatever reason just went online bashing it, and they started making up rumors and saying, well, they didn't like this cut or that cut or whatever. Right. There was an unedited cut. We know that much because he has that to work with. That we understand, and that is called an assembly cut. Now it's not a finished product.
Zack Snyder says it's not an assembly cut. It's not an assembly cut.
What he's gonna put out is not an assembly cut, but what he initially left behind was a working print, and that's when Joss Whedon came in and he said, "Okay, what do you want me to do?" And Joss Whedon,
Angel, you're saying something that is not true. That's not an assembly cut because Zack.
So what would you call? Okay. So what would you call it?
What would
you name it? If it's not an assembly cut, what would you call it, Louis, if it's not an assembly cut?
I would call it the way what Jay Lever called it.
That's an assembly cut, brother. Until it's a final cut, it's an assembly cut.
The assembly cut was 5
There's
hours.
terminology in Hollywood. You can't go against what terminology is. Anything that's not done as a theatrical cut yet, it's called an assembly cut. And then they start cutting it down, and they get to the initial first cut. Once the initial first cut is done, they do test screenings for it. If people like it or they dislike it, and they go back and rework it. That's why we had That's why we had 6 different versions.
That's not what Jerry Weaver said, Angel. That's not. See, this is where I have a problem. Is that I have a problem, not you personally, with people like us saying one thing when you have the professional people, Jay Oliva, Zack Snyder is saying something else, and then what we tend to do is, guys, don't listen to what Jay Oliva call it, don't listen to what Zack call it. I'm saying that it is. They didn't say there was an assembly cut. They never said that.
You see, you're completely misunderstanding what I'm trying to get at because you're overthinking things. That was the narrative that was going on as rumors that there was an assembly cut that people didn't like. And anytime you leave behind a project and it's not a final director cut or a final cut or a theatrical first cut, that is technically an assembly cut. Now, this was a little bit more further ahead, but then it has special effects finished. They had to go back and reshoot stuff. There were parts that weren't done with the actors that needed to go and get done. So there was a lot of stuff that weren't, exactly finished. This is why they have to go back and reshoot stuff. If not, they would just put out what they had. If it was already in the cut that he left, then why do they have to go back and redo anything?
Why did Zack Snyder say he had 10 cuts then?
That's not correct.
What it is that he had a cut that the studio wanted him to put out initially. That cut was already wrapped up and done, and that's not what we got anyways. Now, yes, when you watch some of his interviews, he said when he shoots, he always shoots the whole clip, meaning he's gonna try and get every shot that he wants to see himself. Now, whether the studio wants to see the whole thing that he put together or not, that's a whole different thing.
Right. So, and everything he shoots is called an assembly cut, and then you trim it down from there. That's what I'm saying.
Right. But because the studio, but at the end of the day, also to his point, Louis, was that he's again interesting. That was the narrative that was pushed on us.
Correct. Yeah. And that's when you have the trolls on Rotten Tomato. They go in and like, oh yeah, this movie sucks, and blah blah blah. And you can't take those people serious. Anybody who talks about a movie that nobody has really seen yet, and they talk about it like it sucks already, and they have not even seen a trailer, they're completely missing the point.
Yeah, but the truth is that unfortunately, Angel, there's people out there that listen to these things. I had a lot of friends that. They literally, a lot of friends that they base their movie watching off of Rotten Tomatoes and things of that nature. Like, oh, well.
People Google a score before they go to the movies, okay?
Yeah.
I personally don't, but my friends do.
That's the reality. And see, but that also falls on Warner Brothers. If they really were, and they learned their lesson, obviously. Now they're more exclusive when it comes to who's watching their projects. Hence, I applaud them for how they treated the Joker. They said nobody's gonna watch this film. It's gonna come out and
it made $1 billion.
And it made $1 billion. Had they treated it the same way, BVS the same way, even Man or any of the projects, had they treated them all the same, they would have seen a bigger turnout than what they were seeing. It ultimately falls down on the studio, but studio's never going to take the rap for it. They'd rather let their directors and the actor, they'll let the noise be the narrative rather than being holding themselves accountable to why their films actually don't reach the mark that they wish to see. And that's just the truth too.
Jacob, tell me, did you find the info that I was looking for?
Before I bring that up, I'd like to, Angel, you mentioned that that he has to go back and reshoot a bunch of stuff. That is not correct. Additional photography that occurred on Zack Snyder's Justice League has been officially reported as being 4 minutes of footage. And the assembly cut.
Well, that costs $80 million reported.
That is not
30
correct
million
either.
Or 30 million or whatever it was. That's expensive. That's expensive.
The figure of $70 million is combined the additional photography, the VFX rework, and going back with the ADR work.
They want to do additional shooting, but I know because of COVID and a bunch of stuff, a lot of them couldn't get back.
4 minutes of footage, and that is going to be
they limited to what they could do, but they want to do a lot more extensive shooting.
Not really, because his assembly cut was almost 5 hours.
Well,
and
right.
What was the word? Assembly.
Yes, but what I'm saying is,
and Jacob, and you're forgetting also the $70 million is also included with the extra money that they have to pay for these actors to come back and do
actors and workers on VFX. It is right, not Snyder's not pocketing this money.
Exactly.
The argument actually went
working for free.
When they initially started, when this project was announced, Zack and Deborah had an interview with the Hollywood Reporter in which HBO Max actually said, let's delay this until after COVID. And Zack and Debbie actually said, no, this is the perfect time to give plenty of visual effects workers jobs during a time when the entertainment industry is not doing so well. So I just want to clarify that the 70 million is not, we're not throwing money into Zack's pocket entirely just immediately like that. It is, people are being hired to work on this, and that additional footage is 4 minutes out of what is going to be a 240-minute cut, which is mostly assembled from the original assembly cut.
Well put, Jacob. How much was the profit for Man of Steel?
The profit of Man of Steel, the theatrical box office gross was looks like 668 million. Now the budget was over 200 million dollars, which is a pretty big deal.
Okay,
but
I thought it was 150.
Oh no, it's 225 million dollars. Now again, here's the thing, and this is the thing I agree with Angel on. You're gonna give over 200 million dollars to a director who's taking care of Superman. Now let's look at Shazam's budget, 100 million. That is less than half of Superman's, because again, they're not going to give David Sandberg over $200 million for a character that no one's seen on screen versus a character who has been on screen and forget about the screen for a second. This is a character who has defined culture around the world.
Yep.
I think it is important to mention the big screen, and I say that because the average movie goer isn't they're not like us. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we're us. We're into the comics. We're into
for sure.
The shows or the movies. You know, we're the ones tapping into that, but the average moviegoer doesn't. You know, I mean, you know, there's a lot of reasons to why we could look as to why the film, I guess, maybe didn't reach the mark they were hoping for. You could blame it on, you know, advertisement. The advertisement team, maybe they didn't promote it hard enough. They didn't promote it in the right avenues. I think, and yeah, you're looking at the profit margin, but I think you also have you're having to look at that box office number. And the only reason I say that is because that's letting you know how much viewers you got going to watch your movies. Now, if you as a company, you're not happy with the amount of money you're putting in and the amount of money you're gaining, then you as a company just be smarter on how much money you're spending. You know what I mean? You see that they got smarter. They said, "Oh, we're just gonna give 100 now for Shazam." I think what was Joker, like 60? You know, Birds of Prey.
I think like 75, 80.
That was. You know, are you talking about Joker?
Yeah,
Joker was 55 million.
Yeah,
and that made $1 billion. That was ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time.
Smarter with how much they're putting into these movies. Mm-hmm. But you know, again, I mean, the overall thing you want to see is the box office numbers, so that if we're talking projection wise, you know, like what are we looking to expect? If you're seeing that you went from Man of Steel being 600, whatever you mentioned, to then BVS being 800 something, whatever that was, you see there's a leap. You see that you're actually progressing as far as how many viewers you're getting to watch your movies. Now, how much money, again, you're putting into these films, yeah, that's a whole different thing, but that falls on you as a company. You know what I mean? I would say that much.
Go ahead, Tony.
You know?
Could somebody please look up, okay, what was the cost of BVS and how much that...
I have that immediately. I calculated
BVS budget was 250 million and made 870.
And how much?
It worldwide it made 873.
How much did it cost for Aquaman, and how much did that movie make?
I got that too.
Let's compare numbers and character to character.
Yeah. Aquaman probably. Let me look that up. Aquaman movie budget.
I think it was around 200 million. Also,
that had a lot of CGI.
I thought it was like 175
into that.
Yeah, it's 200. It's 200.
But and Aquaman made a lot of money, but Aquaman also fared a lot better. Also, the timing was a little bit better. It didn't have as much competition, which also, you know, we failed to put into perspective the competition when it came out.
You're forgetting the main reason why it did over $1 billion is because it was the first time Aquaman went on Cinemax. So it was the first time. So that definitely. No,
hold on.
Absolutely. Okay, all right, Tony. Tell me. Okay, can anybody tell me when did Aquaman came out in the cinema?
It doesn't matter.
2018, gentlemen, 2018.
December.
I'm asking before 2018.
Oh, December what, 7?
No. I'm asking, has an Aquaman movie ever been made before 2018?
No, never. This was the first.
So you don't think that makes that? My
That
kids
makes
saw
a
it
hell
because
of a
of that.
that makes a hell of a difference. I've always said it, and on my podcast, I've always said that people want to see something they've never seen
Right.
before, and that also
Right.
helps a
Bingo!
lot.
That's what I'm
No,
That
saying.
Right.
helps a lot.
So
hold
look,
on.
That
Let's
helps a
not
lot.
contradict
I'm
ourselves
not
here.
arguing that because I've said that a billion times. You go back and fact check me on that with Zod Rider. He knows.
look, and here's
Oh,
the
go ahead,
thing.
Eileen. I'm sorry. Eileen
Aquaman,
must say something.
Aquaman maybe
Excuse me.
wasn't a popular character back in the day, but over the years, he actually has become more popular, and he's been taken more serious over the years.
No.
Especially when you're looking at the
Well,
Justice League run. If you're looking at the Justice
no.
League animated, and this is what I'm saying. Are we comic books now? Like when you're looking at New 52,
You look
when
at
you're looking,
Aquaman
hold
sales in
on,
the
when you're
The
looking,
more I will say that the more modern, like the last decade and a half,
they took him
maybe.
serious,
Yeah, they started switching a little. That's true. I'll give you that.
Justice
Yeah,
League animated series, it was
still
more
never
of a serious approach. When
yeah.
you're looking at even at the
But '80s,
DC,
'90s Aquaman was
no,
very
yeah,
sissy.
yeah,
Yeah, it was
yeah,
very
no, yeah. But what I'm saying is, again, we're talking about this time period we're living in now,
right.
and this character has become more was taken more serious, and it is a character that has become more popular amongst viewers. But not only that, then you also have to take into account Jason Momoa grew star power too. You know what I mean? Like, so when and that's another thing that the average moviegoer takes into consideration when they're watching movies. So they're saying, "Oh, Jason Momoa is in this movie," and then not only that, then you also have to say, you also have to remember for the fans that already were tied into the BVS story plot and seeing that Aquaman was being brought and said, "Ooh, I want to see that." And obviously, maybe they felt like they were, for the ones who knew, felt that they were robbed in Justice League, right? But hoping is there was already an attachment to this character, one, and then two, especially because again, he was already becoming popular amongst his fans.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. Can
Um,
you name me another successful Jason Momoa movie besides the DCEU?
Game of Thrones.
That's not a movie.
well,
I know.
when we're
I'm just
talking movies, this is that movie. This is what elevated him. So before that, he grew his fandom from Game of
I
Thrones,
mean,
like Buddy just
Conan.
said.
Justice
He
League,
failed.
right?
He failed in
He
Conan.
he
King Conan was.
yeah, true. Yeah. But he also built his fan base off of BVS. He built his fan base because after the Justice League ordeal, he was one of the very few actors that was vocal about what happened behind the scenes.
Okay,
How
but
so. What I'm saying is there was a lot going for Aquaman, and then at the end of the day, it actually was a good film, cinematic wise. When you went to the theaters, word of mouth is everything. So every viewer who was going to see that movie was
that's
like,
true.
"This is
Yes.
my first time seeing the underworld, of under the sea or the deep blue sea being presented this way." It was almost like Star Wars, but in the sea. You know what I mean?
No,
What I mean?
no. That's blasphemy. No, dude. No. Star Wars changed the way movies are made. Period. No, no.
I think he means the
Never,
aesthetic. I think
never
he
All
say
right,
means
guys,
that.
hold on,
Never say that in public again, bro. Never
says-
say that in public again. That's blasphemy to the highest level. That's like taking the Bible and ripping it up and like burning it and taking a piss in the fire. That's just no. You don't do that. No.
I'm not comparing it like fully. What
You
I'm
just
saying
did,
is,
and that's just
no.
wrong.
Listen.
He means
What
aesthetic
I mean,
wise.
aesthetic wise. What?
Yes.
Here's the thing. There's Star Wars fans that watch Star Wars because they're really into the story plots. They're into the lore of Star Wars. But then there's just people who are into Star Wars because the idea of right, and me too. And then there's just people who are into the Star Wars, or not just Star Wars. How about like just anything that ventures off into space? Things that really force you to
Exciting visuals, large battles,
yes,
incredible
exactly.
special effects.
Yes, exactly. Aquaman brought that, is what I'm saying. That film.
It was advertised.
We've seen that before at Underwater Worlds. Gee, the Phantom Menace. It's not like we haven't seen this kind of like technology or
But they
special
didn't
effects
stick
before.
to it. That wasn't what the whole film was
What
about.
doesn't matter.
To
It's
the degree, though.
I'm not blowing
And the
effect by special effects.
CGI then isn't what it was now. Let's
No,
just be
that's
honest
that,
there,
but that's
too.
fine. You have better CGI in the Mandalorian than you have in the Phantom Menace, but that's neither here nor there. The point
For
is,
some fans, it is though. That's what I'm saying. For some
well,
fans,
actually,
it is.
I think for more
moviegoers.
Actually, I think moviegoers are actually prefer the Mandalorian's way it looks because it has more of that realistic type of look, which
It's
is
the
a drawback.
naturalism.
Yeah, it's the realism. It's a
So
drawback to the
Mandalorian,
original story.
yeah.
It's a throwback to the original Star Wars, the
Don't
original
and don't talk
trilogy.
about the recent episode. I haven't seen it yet, so don't.
No,
Let's
I'm not
don't
gonna give you any
spoil it.
spoilers. I'm not gonna give you any spoilers, but I'll say that it's a little bit more of a throwback, so the fans are
Right.
loving that.
Yes.
As comparing when it comes to CGI, nothing that we saw in Aquaman was any different from any other big CGI movie we've seen in the past.
I would agree with that, but what I will say is that
I'm not blown away by CGI anymore. I've seen a lot of like good CGI movies.
Of
So
course,
I'm not
but
really
doesn't
that
impress
big
me.
to CGI either.
I think it was more of
to be honest,
just
but-
presenting a spectacle. I think it was more of an underwater spectacle. Listen, I want you to name another movie that included the amount of underwater screen time that Aquaman did. That was a major blockbuster.
Right.
The Abyss.
Recently.
Oh, well, I was going to go with The Abyss. You know,
Who? But again,
The Abyss.
the
That was a long time ago. That's probably before your time.
again, and we have to look at the audience as a whole. This was something that a lot of
Titanic,
people,
but that's not underwater.
and
I mean,
it's dark, man.
Leo ended up underwater, but
Right, but you understand my point, right? It was an experience that felt nuanced to people who aren't in your industry.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So, Eileen, so go ahead, Eileen. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I mean, everybody's argument is pretty valid, but that to a producer or to a movie maker's point, the artistry is always compromised, the budget is always compromised based on your audience, what you want to see and what you want to compress in 2 hours worth of time, right? As an artist, it's very difficult, right?
Yeah.
And was Warner Brothers willing to, invest in the series? For the audience to be able to get that entire story, I think that's where the argument starts, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where Warner Brothers is thinking, I cannot invest in something that might not work, right? Because to everybody's point, there's a difference between moviegoers and somebody who really wants to progress through the story or what the artist really wants to put out there.
Right.
Well said, Ali. Well said.
No arguments here.
Yeah. Going now. I'm gonna throw a little bone at Frank. Okay. Because the money I'm not gonna give you Man of Steel. I think launching a DCEU Man of Steel or Superman movie $700 million. When if you look at the history of Superman, the last Superman was made in 2005 with Brandon Roth. So it's been it was 8 years that a Superman movie came out. It's not like Batman when you have Batman 89, Batman Returns, the other two Batman. Right, so it's different
we don't
now.
We don't talk about B and R.
Okay, all right.
We don't discuss that fourth Batman movie.
Now,
what is Batman? Batman and Robin. What's Batman?
Yeah. Please let's not bring that up. That's
right. Now it was
never heard of that.
Back in 2016, it was Warner Brothers' expectation that BVS was gonna make over $1 billion. Yes. I have to be honest, and that's my favorite movie. So just let Tony know that I could be objective here, okay? And I'm just saying what the studios were saying.
They were expecting 1.5, to be honest. With those two characters.
Yes, they were. Yes, but this is why so much, and it kills me to say this because I feel like my opinion, you won't be as objective on this part. Rotten Tomato, given the score and the negative review that it had an impact not hitting $1 billion. Now, would it made $1.5 billion? I don't know. Now, here's the thing. I believe, my opinion, that if the Ultimate Edition would have been released in theaters, there's no doubt in my mind that it would have made $1 billion. Now, would it made 1.5? I don't think so. Because the negative review was so much out there that it hurt the movie.
Here's the thing.
What was the initial backlash the movie got? It was because Ben Affleck was cast. As soon as they announced Ben Affleck, the internet went bananas. And
every Batman announced.
Okay, and I was one of them.
That was my argument.
No. and I'm giving it to you. And I agree with. I was one of them that didn't like the Ben Affleck casting. So I agree with you, and I'm one of them. However, that was not the reason why he didn't make over $1 billion. Okay, Ben Affleck. Even the people
no,
who didn't
I agree
like
with that too. He wasn't
even,
the worst part of the movie. I agree with that.
right.
You know,
Even the people that didn't like the casting even praised Ben Affleck. So that was not the issue. Okay. When you have critics, and this is why it kills me, and this is why I'm so against Rotten Tomato. Okay. And I talked this a lot on my prior show. Now that the directors have a platform, HBO Max, they could. This is what I want to do. I want the score of Rotten Tomato to be released a month after its release, so people could go there and have an honest opinion instead of being brainwashed by these critics. I mean, you look at Scott Middleton. I mean, some of the stuff that he say, oh my gosh, if I was not a religious person, I would be blasting him. I mean, he does not even make sense. He's a world-class idiot. I mean, some of the stuff that he says does not even make sense. Okay, he's the
But
same
that's how
guy.
he gets paid. He
Okay,
says
well,
controversially stupid things, and that's how he makes money.
Guys, I'm about to go out on a classic New York rant on Scott Middleton. he's the guy.
Preach, brother. Preach.
Well, I like Godzilla. You know, I would have liked better Godzilla if they would have shown more Godzilla. So that's why I gave a bad review. And then when Godzilla King of the Monster came out, well, I thought there was too much monster. I mean, you just asked for more monsters, and you got it, and you still have a problem. It drives me crazy with these critics. It really, really drives me crazy with these critics. I want to have it on a debate with guys like Tony, with guys like Angel could sit down and have an objective conversation instead of these critics having been in bed with Disney. And for anyone to think that these critics are not in bed with Disney, you are not paying attention. You are not paying attention.
Well, it's not just Disney. It's even with Warner Brothers. There's always going to be critics. There's critics that are for all companies.
Yeah.
And that's across the board. Even for non-superhero movies, you have critics that are paid by studios to give them good reviews ahead of time. That's always happened. In fact, in the 90s, before the internet, when movies were promoted through like newspapers, remember that, guys? Papers were like stuff. You had to buy a line where the critic gave a quote. A lot of that was proven to be fake critics, and they would just make stuff up and put it there as a quote from a critic never existed. Instead of taking like Siskel and Ebert or somebody like that, they just make somebody up and be like, yeah, so and so from from New Jersey said it was a great movie. Right. Well, the hell so and so. Nobody knows. Nobody checks because you didn't have the internet back then. Right. Now it's all moved to the internet. Now you have Rotten Tomato. Now you have all these big studios, and they all have their cronies who go online, and they pay them to give them positive reviews. Right. And then you have people that are going to have movies coming out opposite to those movies, so they have paid people to give those movies bad reviews, so their movies can beat them at the box office. Right. So there's a competition that's built up there, and that happens.
But that didn't affect movies like Joker. And let's look at Joker for a second.
Joker is an outlier.
That movie was not only.
And it's a great movie.
That movie not only had, I guess, what you're talking about, critics on the opposite paying. There was a very delicate narrative around that movie before it came out about what its effect on the public sphere would be. Yet it still made $1 billion.
And guys, I don't want to get too political on this, but the Joker, there was a lot of political things said on about the Joker, about gun violence, white man killing people with a gun, and that really drove me crazy, because how many movies have you seen with white man with guns killing people? Commando, hello. Rambo, hello. I mean, how many? I mean, just really. Let me just calm down.
Well, for that,
let's steer away.
What I want to say,
Django Unchained killed more people than Rambo in one movie. So,
going back,
but that's neither here nor there.
Going back to the critics, though, I want to touch on that. I don't want to blame the critics fully for what went wrong with, as far as I guess the projections for BVS. I will say this: I think it's silly to think because there's two different superheroes that are both iconic that should mean you're gonna get double the numbers. That's almost like saying Superman fans are only Superman fans, and Batman fans are only Batman fans. Like that's not true. Like you have DC
No,
fans that love both characters.
but
That'll
you don't
go see
understand.
both
You've never
movies.
cinematically had
Wait.
Superman, Batman, and
Look,
Wonder Woman in a movie together. That's something new
yeah, but
with the
listen,
Trinity, the holy
right? No,
Trinity of comic books.
look, and look. Hold on, I'll get there. And the thing is that doesn't really mean you're gonna see double the money. That
You
just
should.
that just means you should see a good profit, and I agree with that. But to think that you're gonna get like double the amount, that's ridiculous. And what
Look
I'm
at
saying,
the
and the reason,
Avengers
listen, and the reason I say that is because
correct.
the reason I say, and look, what I'm going with this is when you look at the success of the Dark Knight movies, right? You know, they always reached the billion, and that was just Batman alone. But it's not just Batman alone. It's Batman. It's Joker. It's the characters that exist within that.
Well,
Hold
yeah,
on.
Joker is the most popular bad guy character.
Right. Hold on.
So I mean
I'll
that
get there.
that is part of
I
it.
thought it
also.
was Darth Vader there, Angel.
No, I'm
Originally,
talking
you're trying
about
to,
comic,
trying to
comic,
blaspheme
comic
Star Wars.
book.
Darth
No,
Vader for sure.
comic
I'm just
book.
messing with you. I'm just messing.
I know, but
So-
comic booky.
But
Yeah,
look, as
yeah, of
far
course,
as like
of course.
that being the narrative, I don't think that replays part. I will say the critics thing is just a part of the problem.
Right.
One of the things that I feel was also a problem, and why I felt like again it showed that either the studio or somebody just didn't have the right brains in this. But the fact that they revealed Doomsday in their trailer before the release of the movie, that was one of those things that when you go see the movie, you need to be
Marketing's
surprised by that because
important.
you already got the
Marketing's
fans
important.
thinking
Yep.
that the fight is between Batman and Superman. Like, that's the main thing. You already had us with that. You didn't have to show us that Doomsday was going to be the big battle. You know what I mean?
It ruins the reveal. Yeah.
That was that conversation piece that when I leave the theater, I tell someone else, bro, you got to go see this movie. You will never see this coming. That was a conversation piece that was missed when this movie was out in theaters.
Guys,
I
that
agree
was
with that.
really
Guys.
needed. That was really needed. That digressed the potential that it had. So there's many things you could look at to why BVS didn't reach the numbers that it should have reached. But I mean, I won't I know Jacob, you're saying they were saying 3 billion. I think that's ridiculous. If the last movie that you guys had only reached like what was it, 1 billion and
Are you saying I said that? I didn't say that.
oh, I
Wasn't me.
thought you said I saw you go like this with the 3.
Oh no, I was saying there were 3 big characters.
Right, the
okay.
Holy Trinity.
But it was
Batman,
yeah,
Superman, Wonder Woman.
That's what I
Okay,
meant
okay.
there.
But yeah,
Guys,
okay.
hold on, guys, hold on. Because Eileen, she has to go now, so I want to give her the courtesy, give her the last word, and then we all could could finish this
absolutely.
conversation. So Eileen, what's your final thought as far as what would you like to see the direction of the DCEU? Do you think we're gonna get a Batman versus Deathstroke? I know Tony and Angel may not like that, but whatever. I'm just teasing them. But tell me what do you want to see going forward?
Well, at the end of the day, I'm just really happy that finally the Snyder Cut is coming out. It's been a while and everybody's been waiting for it. Have that sense of feeling the same feeling of vindication, I think, that Zack Snyder has, being able to have somebody like HBO Max fund the movie for him, to put out his vision out there. And I think, at the end of the day, that's what everybody wanted to see. That's what I wanted to see. It may not be what the moviegoers, were envisioning to see, but I cannot wait for it to come out. Love the debate, and thank you for giving me the opportunity, Louis, to be on the show. And thank you everybody for allowing me to speak up as well. It's like I said, I've been a big fan of Zack Snyder since. And having given the chance to put this movie together, all these superheroes together, is a really big challenge for any movie maker, right? For anybody to be able to put the Superman multiverse, Batman, and all the other metahumans together and make a movie out of it is a challenge on its own. And I think Zack Snyder did an amazing job. And for him to be able to finally put his cut out is not just a feeling of vindication for himself, but I think to everybody else that was looking out for all of his, looking out for all of his movies for the past couple of years.
Right.
Thank you, Eileen. Thank you so much
Thank
you.
for joining us. I really
Well
appreciate it. It was
said.
nice meeting you, and we'll talk to Eileen later. Everybody say bye to Eileen.
Bye bye.
Bye.
All right. So Vega. So go ahead, finish with your thought. And I apologize. I had to jump in, but she sent
No,
me
no,
a
it's fine.
DM.
It's fine.
So
Um,
I wish
want.
she would have spoken more. She had a lot of good points.
she did. She
She
did have a
does.
lot of good
Yeah,
points. Yeah.
a lot of
Um,
testosterone in the room.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, my point was just that there's a lot of things that you could look at when you're looking at, I guess, why the BVS did. And here's the thing too, like I feel like we maybe we're not, but I think the average person undermines the presence the MCU has established around that same time as well. And you also have to keep in mind that that's why there was this narrative that people were upset that Man of Steel, or just I guess Superman as a character, didn't get 3 films before a team up, or why these heroes didn't eventually get their film. Because even just with BVS, people were saying that, and that wasn't even the Justice League yet. That was just like that was just a Superman movie featuring Batman with a cameo of Wonder Woman and Easter eggs of Aquaman, Flash, and Cyborg. And people already were saying like, oh, why aren't they getting their
It's
own
a lot.
films? They need their
It's a
origin.
lot.
Yeah, it's a lot, and they need their own origins, and it's like, so there was this narrative already being painted that the DCU had to, or I think I don't know what I said, but anyways, that the cinematic universe that I guess DC was getting ready to establish, that it had to be just like Marvel, and so there was a lot of things up against it. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Character, you're saying because character development makes them just like Marvel?
No,
I don't think he's saying that. He's
no,
saying
I'm
the
not saying
structure of the
that. No,
cinematic
no.
universe.
Not saying
No, I
that
think
because
what he's trying to say is the perspective was out there that it had to be like Marvel.
yeah, there was a perspective.
And you can start with these movies at any point. You don't have to follow a narrative that another studio is following for say Marvel. You could follow your own path. I mean, and that's fine. But there is one thing that I think that a lot of people would enjoy is being able to look at a movie and understand what the characters are before they go into a bigger spectrum and a bigger picture. That's why I wouldn't have done Batman vs Superman as a second movie. I would have waited a little bit further than that. I would have done Man of Steel 2 first, and then introduced a solo Batman movie, and then after that build a more shared universe.
I never felt that was even necessary, and I'll tell you why. Let's be honest. By this point, did you really not know who Batman was and what his origin is? Does he
No,
really
but they didn't. But they didn't
and
cover that in the movie anyway, so that doesn't really matter.
well,
they
they
covered
did.
it very
The
briefly.
opening.
it briefly
Yeah, it was
did,
very
and
brief in the beginning.
and it was actually a key component to understand where it ended up going. But what I'm trying to get at is we really didn't need we just had a Dark Knight trilogy. You know what I mean? Like we were
Yeah,
well
that's
fed
why.
with,
That's why.
we were
Excuse
well
me,
fed with Batman.
But to
That's
establish
why.
a different Batman, you have to kind of tell the audience this is a
How
new
many?
Batman.
But how many? But here's my question: how many times do we need to see a Batman original with Bruce Wayne parents getting killed? I mean, what character development for that?
Hey, your boy Zack Snyder did it.
That's why
He did it also.
And
Your
look,
boy Zack
He
Snyder
did
did
it.
it.
look, I'm
But
about to say
he's,
something
you know what he's
blasphemous.
trying
I'm
to
about
say.
to say something blasphemous here. I know Angel's gonna strike me down when it stops
Uh
with this.
oh.
But what I will say
Here he
is
goes.
this.
Oh, I know what he's saying. Go ahead.
What I will say is
know
this.
what
I
Hit
know I'm
me
about
with
to
it.
get
Go
under
ahead.
your skin. What I will say is this: is when Star Wars first came out, George Lucas started with episodes 4, 5, and 6.
There it is.
Tread carefully. Go ahead.
Right? So
Because I'm a Star Wars
all,
expert. So
all
tread
that
carefully.
all that just to say that you really don't have to show the beginning of something to tell a story. Okay.
Can I go right? Can I stop you right there? And then it's real quick, and then I'll let you go. Real quick.
Okay.
I completely agree with that. But Star Wars always has one thing. Star Wars from the very beginning, and every single one of the movies drops you off in the middle of a conflict. Even the Phantom Menace. When you first see the Jedis, they're already going into a conflict with the Trade Federation and the Phantom Menace. So you always are dropped into something that's already pre-existing, even if you don't know what's already there.
Which happened in BVS as well when it starts off
with Batman.
Yeah, well, that and
Which I have no issues in that part.
which was already established, and then following Man of Steel, which was already established.
Hmm.
You feel me? So like, it's I'm not like again, I'm not trying to say it's the exact same thing. What I'm trying to my point to being is that you really don't have to start a story plot at the beginning of something so that the story can be told well. Like I said,
I agree with that.
yeah, like I said, Star Wars did that. Heck, Lord of the Rings did that. You're dropped off in a point, and it's like, okay, and then to find out, wait, there was stuff that happened before this, and it brings you back to when they finally decide to release that, like, oh, okay, I'll go and watch that. The same way then they released episode 1, 2, and 3, and the same way they released the Hobbit trilogy. So
Yep.
But Zack started Superman from the beginning.
I know he's just saying Batman.
beginning.
He's saying Batman, not Superman.
yeah,
Yeah,
right,
he's talking about different guys. No, but I agree. I completely agree with what
and-
he's saying, though. The
and-
narrative's right. Go ahead.
And to the point of Superman, why it had to restart is because, I mean, okay, maybe to us, yeah, because we're DC fans or comic book fans, we know Superman, and yeah, Superman's pretty iconic character, merchandise is everywhere, but I think we're failing to miss the point that on the big screen, his presence was missed. Even though Superman Returns came out, it was a flop. Like, let's just be honest, it was a flop.
But Man of Steel made only a little bit more than Superman
It's
Returns.
not
Not a whole lot more.
It's not about the money at this point.
But
What
it
I'm
was,
trying to get at is to why
initially, they made
I'm-
almost very similar profit
I'm just
also.
trying to- I'm just
Frank,
trying
this
to
is
get
for
to the-
you. Excuse me. This is for Frank. Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman all have original films, while Batman certainly didn't need another original film after all those trilogy. So that's true. I mean, that's true. Now, hold on, guys. I have a special guest with us
Oh,
because this person found out that Frank and Angel had a problem with the Vision.
Is Zack Snyder about to join the
It's Zack
chat?
Snyder
Zack
himself.
Snyder actually is about to go and confront Angel and Frank, and lastly,
you're
not
gonna
just
bring Zack Snyder himself? Come on, bring it. Bring Zack Snyder.
Just kidding.
Reinforcements.
Look at Frank. He's like, oh no.
Bring it on.
Bring in the army.
The force is strong with me. Bring it on, brother.
Oh Lord.
These are not the fanboys you're looking for.
Emilio, I had you guys for a second. Come on, Emilio.
Maybe just a bit.
Listen, the man has been on
all right.
2 live streams this week with fans.
Yeah, but going back to Vega's point, that's why I didn't have a problem, and to give you guys a picture, Frank has sent me a email explaining why he didn't like the direction, vision, not Zack Snyder the person, but the vision, and why he felt like he needed an original. But your argument, Vega, huh?
Who's Frank? Which one? Who's
I
Frank?
think he's talking about you, Tono, or
Oh, I'm sorry, not Frank. Tony. I don't know why I keep calling you Frank. I'm sorry.
At least you didn't call him Fredo.
No,
Is that the special guest, the guy named
Frank
Frank?
Sinatra. Okay. Sorry, Tony.
Special
Tony,
guest.
Tony has sent me an email. And Vega, to your point, and Tony will tell you, the reason why I feel like Ben Affleck was perfect was for the reason that you just said. Ben Affleck Batman doesn't need an original story because it's been told so many times. Wonder Woman original hasn't been told. Aquaman hasn't been told. Superman surely. If you look at how many movies somebody, let's do it right now. You got 4 Supermans, 5. So how many Batman movies there are? You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You got 8 Batmans. 8 Batmans. I mean, so you really
Don't forget the animated series and all that.
Exactly, and not just about how many there are.
And the
And
best
it's
one, Master of the Phantasm, which is probably the best one that's
I like,
animated.
oh man.
Hey, Luis, maybe they should stop making Batman movies. Maybe they should stop making Batman movies and do Superman, bro.
Nonsense. The Batman
Listen,
2022.
I'm a
man.
Superman guy.
Blasphemous.
Okay, how many here like Superman? I'm assuming everybody's a Superman fan, right?
Yeah, I like.
I mean,
Superman.
I've got a lunchbox with Action
Hold on,
Comics
look.
23 behind me.
Oh
Hold
my
so,
gosh.
yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got a lunchbox
Don't
too,
get
but I
it
can't reach
twisted.
it.
Don't get it twisted. I love
Right.
Superman.
So I don't mind having an intelligent debate on people why they don't like the vision of Zack Snyder, because Tony, or while I disagree with you, your take on it has nothing to do with the hatred for the man or anything like that. Or you too, Angel.
Right.
But when I watch these critics, going back to when the Joker was released, there was a critic that says, I didn't like the Joker because the Joker, he had mental issues. He was a narcissist, sarcastic. And I say to
Yeah.
myself, you
That's
dummy,
the Joker.
you just
Right,
described the Joker. You just
That's kind of who he is.
What is he supposed to be, a ballerina? Like,
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Like,
exactly.
I think one of the executives said, "You want to make a dark Joker? We sell pajamas with Joker." Like that was one of the executives, I believe, who reacted
Crazy.
to when Todd Phillips was pitching.
I just think, man, that I agree, Luis, that there are always going to be horrible and bad apples everywhere. Okay,
Right.
hell, there's people on Twitter trying to cancel Gina Carano for doing that.
Yeah,
Nothing.
Right.
and
Okay,
she's
it's
great in Mandalorian.
It's
Great.
called "Don't Hate the Player, Hate the Game."
Hate
That's
the game.
the game, and everybody is taking that risk in that business,
Yep.
doing it.
Yep.
It's just, am I saying it's right? No, but it's what
Right.
you signed up for.
What you
Unfortunately,
sign up for. Unfortunately, yeah.
you know, do we need to
Yeah.
clean it up? Yes, absolutely. But
Right.
it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Right. It comes
it's
with
an
the
equal playing
territory.
field for everybody, right?
Yeah.
They could love a movie that we think sucks, right? How the hell do they like this movie? But on the other hand, movies that we like, they're saying sucks. We're like, well, there's something going on here. So, I think it is, man. It has to do a little bit with, listen, we get a little butt hurt and we get feelings hurt when critics come after the things we like for no
Right.
good reason.
Right.
It's what it is.
That's
what
good,
it
but
is.
that's
Amen.
human nature, though.
Amen,
That's human
Tony.
nature. We're
Amen.
a lot of us, not all of us. I have thick skin on this, but a lot of people are very sensitive.
Yeah.
And if
Right.
you go against what they like,
Yeah.
instead of taking it as an objective for somebody's preference
Right.
for a movie, they get all like upset and they make 350 videos on YouTube of how much the director is horrible
Yeah.
for the next 15 years. And you don't need that kind of psychotic behavior.
Right. Right.
And I know one person
Who
in
invented
particular
the
I can
internet?
speak about that.
Who invented the internet?
Okay, so here's
Al
here's
Gore.
here's the question
Little
for
can shoot Al
Tony
Gore.
and Angel, because I know you guys had an issue with Zack Snyder vision because there was no other Superman movie coming out there, no other Batman coming out there.
That
Being
wasn't my case, but go ahead.
right, being that we're gonna have Matt Reeves Batman. We don't know whether there's going to be another Superman in that world. The way I look at it now is that I could not fully enjoy Ben Affleck Batman and Matt Reeves Batman. Before, I could not enjoy Matt Reeves Batman because I feel like they took my Batman away. That's just the way I feel. But now that they made it to a buffet, for the people that don't like Zack Vision, you have somewhere
The
to go watch,
multiverse.
right? To go watch your Batman. I think whoever made that decision was a smart decision because now you're feeding. Now you're reaching out to different. Maybe not to Angel because maybe to Angel it has to be his Superman, his Batman. Just kidding.
No. But it waters down the character. For example, the 70s and 80s. The reason that even the bad Superman movie was decent to watch is because you had Christopher Reeve nailing the part, and even Superman 3 and 4, which were garbage, were watchable because Christopher Reeve was Superman. It doesn't matter. You can put him walking down the street, chewing bubble gum and skipping. It was Superman come to life. I mean, that was the perfect caption of what Superman's supposed to look like, what he acts like.
But do you agree though? Them making it a multiverse makes it people like Tony people, you know, that
It
won't.
panders to more people. Yeah, it does, and it allows more people to enjoy whatever iteration they have. But at the same time, it waters certain characters. Now you have in the same universe, you have Supergirl, Superman. You have Tom Welling who came back for a cameo, and he might come back in the future.
Oh, don't even
Supposedly.
bring up the CW, man.
Well, you what I'm saying. You have all these different
People love it.
actors. You have all,
It's a fun
you have
one.
all these different actors. So people say the guy in Supergirl who plays Superman is better than Henry Cavill. Yeah.
Están loco. Están loco en el
Hey,
coco.
it's insanity. It's something that's taking over the whole country because that guy is horrible as Superman, and I didn't like Henry Cavill, but I had to choose Henry Cavill. I mean, he was good at Tutors. I don't hate the guy. I just didn't like him as Superman, but he's much better than the guy in Supergirl. But that's it is what it is. But you have all these different characters. And I understand what you're saying. It panders to everybody. So everybody can have their own pick and have fun. And in a multiverse, that's great. And that's all fine and dandy. But when you have it all coming out at the same time, it kind of like dilutes the water and like it crowds it a little bit too much where it feels a little watered down as a character. Because it's like, okay, you know, I'm watching Superman here, there. Why would I go to the theater if I could have it on TV? And that's part of what happened with Superman Returns. When Superman Returns came out, Smallville was the biggest thing on TV when it came to like the DC. That was the big hit they had. So it was Smallville. So when Superman Returns came out, people were like, "Oh, why am I going to watch a really bad Bryan Singer Superman movie where it's getting bashed and it seems like a horrible movie? When I have Smallville on TV for free." You know, that's our argument.
Yes, it was a horrible movie, but I will say Brandon Roth to me was horrific.
Yeah, he was good, but the movie was terrible.
I actually like
Brandon. I would love for Brandon Roth to come back in this multiverse.
Yes, Kingdom of Superman.
Didn't he?
I believe he
There are
was the
rumors.
crossover.
There are rumors right now.
He was
the
the best part of that crossover was Brandon Roth. The moment he meets Lois Lane,
but then they killed him off.
Well, they didn't die off, but the moment that he sees Lois Lane and they have that interaction, which is him and Clark, as Clark and then her, and the moment there's a magic that happened right there, which if they could capture that and put that in a series, it'll be perfect.
Here's the thing, guys. Luis, I'm going to speak to you on this because we're both big Superman guys. Okay, here's the way I look at it. Okay, Brandon Roth Superman, his movie was terrible, but to me, if I take him against Cavill, I think Cavill is great too. Don't get me wrong, he's great. I hope he comes back. The difference to me, biggest difference, okay, is one, the way Brandon Roth and Christopher Reeve played Clark Kent. Their differences between Clark Kent and Superman are much better than what Cavill had to do with his Superman.
Yes.
Number two, Cavill is a comic book accurate. Like Cavill looks like he comes straight out of the comic book. He looks
Which comic?
straight out of the comic book. But Brandon Routh to me has the essence of Superman. That's the difference.
And the essence of the nerdy, you know, Clark Kent, which by the way, that originally was a Christopher Reeve thing because it wasn't as nerdy and
that's what I was getting ready to say. Because
that was a Christopher Reeve interpretation. That's where they made that movie as a takeoff from that.
His own interpretation. When they came out with this version, it was his own interpretation. It really wasn't like based off the comics then.
Here it is. It's reality because Luis, you know this better than anybody. We're from the same neck of the woods. You take a kid that grows up in rural farmland, Kansas. Drop that person in the Bronx. What's he going to look like?
A dork.
What's he going to act like? Well, how are people going to conceive him? He's going to be in a different world.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I feel like Perry White.
That's very true.
I feel like Perry White.
That's very true. That's very true.
I feel like Perry White gave him quite the run, though.
Yeah. Well, look.
You know what I'm talking about?
To that point, what I will say is this: one, I actually did like Brandon Routh's interpretation as well of Superman. I thought he did good because it did remind me of that Christopher Reeves model. I think, personally, in my opinion, it wasn't even that bad of a movie. I just think it didn't progress with the time. Like in a time. Hold on. What I'm saying is this: in a time where we already had Iron Man with CGI, like armor looking crazy.
This was before Iron Man, though.
Before, way before.
No. Superman.
Yeah, Superman Returns is 2005.
2006, actually.
Or yeah, 2006.
Yeah, okay,
but
well,
yeah,
I have a
even-
history with that movie, and Dan Harris, the writer, where you had a fallout.
Even with that said, though, CGI it was good, and my whole thing is you went back to like the same cloth. Like I don't. To me, that was like honestly my biggest pet peeve. It was like, we're in a time where you should be like upgrading. I mean, they upgraded Batman. I guess that was my issue was, Batman started off with cloth, but they upgraded him to like more realistic armor. Why couldn't
reinterpretations?
Why couldn't
Guys,
say?
Jacob has to go in a few minutes, so I want to give him I want to give him the courtesy, to wrap it up, and then I'm gonna wrap it with you guys.
I've got 5 minutes. If you want to finish your thought, Tony. Go
Okay,
ahead.
because I want to because Tony asked me a question regarding Brandon Roth, and here's the problem with that. Okay, again, the reason that you could relate to Brandon Roth Superman is because of Christopher Reeves. That's the reason why.
Is he not
Again, hold okay.
Perspective.
Huh?
That's perspective. What he asked, he's like, is he not the standard? That's perspective, because even the modern comics don't really portray the Christopher Reeves Superman anymore. And so when you look at the Man of Steel or Henry Cavill Superman, his interpretation is
Brandon Routh.
But I see. Okay, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. The reason I didn't connect with and again, Brandon Routh is he looks like how can I put this? A watered down version of Christopher Reeves. They try to imitate him, and when you try to be an imitator, to me personally, you lose me. I'm sorry. I want something different. I want a different take.
If the story was good enough, you would have loved it.
No, because if Tony, if I want to see that Superman, I'm gonna watch Superman 1 and 2. If I want to see, that's just me. I'm just telling you. No, I'm just telling you. And
stories to tell.
And here's the thing. And Tony, here's the thing. In Man of Steel, Henry Cavill was not portraying Clark Kent. It kills me when people say that Henry Cavill didn't portray Clark Kent. He wasn't portraying Clark Kent in the movie.
So who was he? Peter Parker? Because he looked like Clark Kent to me. And even BVS, when he's playing Clark Kent, when he's Clark Kent in BVS, he's still.
You guys wanted. This is what you guys wanted. Clark Kent with the glasses, acting goofy, and then him being Superman. That's what you just finished saying.
But he still had the glasses and
he's
part
from
of BVS.
farmland of Kansas.
But that's
I understand that.
But the glasses is what he hides. If he doesn't have something to hide behind, like
there's no
defeats the purpose. That's the running joke. That's the running joke.
Nobody did not know he was Superman.
Because it's a badly written movie, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, hold on, that's your opinion because you
have a Twitter reporter who can't figure out that this is Superman, and he's standing right there in front of her. Looks exactly the same. That's always been the running joke.
No offense. What's the bigger joke? That having a clumsy Clark Kent really hides who Superman is?
Really?
That's really what you're telling me?
It's not the clumsiness. It's the fact that it's not even the clumsiness. It's the fact that he portrays himself as weaker. But it's not even clumsy.
All of a sudden he hides.
No,
come on.
But even for example, when you go through, when you throw back to like the original Superman movie, the part where he's trying to open up a bottle and he's like, yeah, there's very little subtle things that Christopher Reeve does where he's not trying to be a dork. He's acting away. And he's not doing it to be too much for everybody to take notice of what he's doing. He's like background doing it as a part of hiding who he is. Yeah. Because if he could just go here, and and people are gonna be like, man, he's gone for everything. He was
But he
yeah,
was.
exactly. But that's part of hiding who he is as
So
far as the
when
character of Clark
But
Kent.
Man of Steel,
Remember,
hold on. Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Because again, you just said something about hiding who he is. That's all, man. That's what Henry Cavill did in the Superman. He hid. Why do you think Lois Lane told him you help somebody, you disappear? He was doing it. You guys just failed to not catch that.
no, I
Jacob,
caught
am I
it.
wrong?
look,
The
Jacob,
original
am I
looked
wrong? Am I
exactly the
wrong?
same.
no, yeah,
Clark
look,
Kent and Superman looked exactly the same in Man of Steel. There was no difference.
No, but they didn't
So
know he was Superman.
Everybody knew he
yeah.
was Superman.
So look,
No, where?
the thing is,
Where Man of Steel did everybody know he was Superman? Because the only time he knew he was
Well,
Superman
gee,
was
when Lois Lane showed up at the
Angel
actual farm, and nobody even had told her where the farm was, but yet she knew where the farm was,
you
and
guys
she
say
wanted.
everyone. You guys say everyone. I'm asking you, when did Superman reveal himself in Man of Steel? To everyone.
You didn't have to.
oh man,
That's not the question.
He wasn't
When did
on the Daily Planet.
no, listen to my question? When did Superman in Man of Steel reveal to the whole world that he was Superman? When?
Well, when he started saving people as Superman,
No,
after he put on the
no.
suit.
Oh my
Before that,
God.
he was Clark Kent, like doing
If
Clark Kent stuff.
If you guys gonna bash Man of Steel, can you again? This is my New York thing, so don't take it personal. But if you guys going to bash the Man of Steel, can you at least know
The military scene where he's going into the military
when
scene
did
and
Superman revealed to the whole world he was Superman? Man of Steel, when did everybody know he was Superman? There was a
the
Superman
military,
Man of Steel. When?
hold on,
That's not the point
the
he's making. He's saying it's bad
the
writing.
military scene where like
Exactly. When he
okay, but
came down,
but-
when he
but
came down from the sky, that's when he showed himself as Superman. Anything before that, nobody didn't know he was Superman.
Right,
understood, but that's still neither here nor there.
right.
Hold on. Then,
If I may,
go ahead,
because
Jacob. Go
I
ahead,
am headed
Jacob.
out.
Go ahead, Jacob.
So first of all, thank you for having me on. Really appreciated it. It's a great opportunity. First time on a YouTube live stream, and had a lot of fun.
You look like a pro, bro. You're doing good.
Yeah.
Thank you. I got my nice little floodlight here. Anyways, just wanna say that listen, we all have different opinions at the end of the day, but I think truly to me, what matters, about this kind of stuff is that we are talking about these characters, and to me, that's what Zack Snyder has meant to me. I'm not saying that this is a reason why these movies are good, but what I am saying is that these movies, Batman v Superman, Man of Steel, and I mean, listen, I'm not going to expect that you guys are going to be fans of Zack Snyder's Justice League, okay? These movies are chance, but the precedence is there. But the point is that these movies have caused us to think about these characters, and they've caused us to discuss them. And I don't know how much any of you are familiar with some film theory. I don't know about you, Angel, if you've heard of Andre Bazin at all.
Andre Bazoom? No, I've heard of the Martian tales or the Bazoom tales with John Carter, but
no. Andre Bazin was a film scholar in the mid 20th century who because a lot of my thesis
close to Edgar Rice Burroughs, who did the John Carter, but good, continue.
He is a film scholar from the mid 20th century during a time when adaptation was under a lot of conversation. And this is, for me, like, it's not my thesis, but it's a big part of what I think Snyder has to offer. And I'm just going to paraphrase here. It is interesting to note that the novelists who defend so fiercely the stylistic or formal integrity of their texts, so comic books, are also the ones who sooner or later overwhelm us with confessions about the tyrannical demands of their characters. According to these writers, their protagonists are completely taken from their control once they are conceived on screen. The argument he's making here is that adapting comic books or adapting any literature to film shouldn't necessarily always be the stylistic things. So for me personally, I didn't really care for a bumbly Clark Kent. I didn't really personally care if Superman was super cheesy and wisecracking. I personally did not resonate with that. For me, how Snyder used cinema to redefine the character and used, different elements than what we had seen in the past, right? Some, again, you had points there, Angel. Yes, both are about, the villains trying to reestablish Krypton. But my point is that there were lots of elements that threw off some people.
Well, also,
and that's why
your generation is also from the Smallville generation onward, so it's a little bit different of a take from mine and Tony.
Absolutely. And so my point is that, in my opinion, that has helped evolve the comic book genre. That, to me, it doesn't matter what came before. I want something.
I can respect that. It's no issue. And I love new things also. That's what I'm saying. When it comes to a lot of these things, that's where Aquaman made a lot of money, because it was new to the general audience. They had never seen an Aquaman movie, and I've always, and Zack Ryder will tell you about that. We've discussed that on endless on our podcast that we had together, and that's always an argument I've made. People generally like seeing new things. And things they haven't seen before, of things they love in the comic or books or whatever it is. And it's a point of making a good product and marketing it well and doing right by the characters. That's where my issue is. I have no issues with it being new.
My issue is that I don't think that going forward, if this comic book movie thing that we're all living in right now is going to last for another decade or so, in my opinion, I think that maybe we should start questioning those standards that we've set. And so that's all I have to say. And thank you for coming on and joining me in this fun debate.
Let's give him a friendly goodbye, like we gave.
Thank you, Jacob. That was very well said.
Thank you, guys.
All right, but Frank, in essence,
he's calling you Frank.
I'm sorry.
At least it didn't call you Fredo.
Listen, it's 9:37. I haven't ate since 3 hours. Take it easy on me, Tony.
So you feed every 3 hours? That's insane, brother.
Yeah, I'm going on 2 hours and 40 minutes. But that's what he basically what Jacob said is basically is how I feel. That's why I didn't connect with Brandon Routh Superman, because it's the same take. It's almost, to me, it's the same take at Christopher Fury. I want something different. So that's why I liked it. I like and love Henry Cavill as Superman. That's why I like it, because it just means a different take. It's a different take.
But here's where I can say that it was different. And none of the Christopher Reeves, at least in the first two movies, was he ever as emo. He was not stalking Lois Lane. At no point was he, like depressed all the time as in Superman Returns. That was part of the failure of the script. If that movie actually had a good villain, and that's Lex Luthor trying to take over land, a villain he could actually fight, if it had a better narrative and it had a more uplifting storyline, and a Superman that was more like maybe Christopher Reeve's Superman, which was more of a Boy Scout and more like what Superman's supposed to be like, while the guy looked the part and he looked a lot like Christopher Reeve and resembled the part and resembled him aesthetically, he looked like him, but the narrative and the way it was written was very different in a lot of parts. Plus, the suit was disgustingly terrible. I mean, that when the first image of that Brendan Routh suit came out, I kid you not, I was in the middle of a showroom with a lot of other people. We're working at a travel agency, and one of my good friends was in the comic book industry and these conventions came by, and I was like, "Bro, come here. Can you look at this image and tell me what the first thing that pops in your head?" He hadn't seen the picture yet, and he goes, "What the hell is that?" And I'm like, "That's a new Superman suit." And he goes, "Oh, this is gonna flop." And this is a guy who knows the industry. The first thing he said was, "This is going to flop." And I go, "I know." And at this point, I already had a fallout with Dan Harris, who was one of the writers. Online, I met him and we had a conversation. I actually got to speak to him, and this is a long history. And he told me a little bit about what they were doing with Superman Returns. And my thought was, it's horrible. I mean, what you guys are doing is not a good narrative or a good storyline. And his answer was, "You don't know any better. You're just a fan." Sometimes the fans get it right, and sometimes the writers, have their ego, which they think they're right, and they completely miss the mark. That's what happened with Superman Returns. You have another director, Bryan Singer, who could paint a beautiful picture, but doesn't really know how to tell quite the story very well, and he picks writers that don't know the genre. And Michael Dougherty and Dan Harris did not know the genre. They brought him on board anyway because they liked X-Men and they were part of one of the X-Men movies. So they're like, "Yeah, bring him on board. He's Bryan Singer's buddies." So they brought him on board, and it was just not the right guys to write a movie for Bryan Singer. X-Men 1 and 2 are the best one of the X-Men movies. Why? Because they had good writers and they had Bryan Singer who could make a good visual movie. But he's not a good storyteller, but he needs good writers. Zack Snyder's the same guy. He's good visually, doesn't know how to tell a narrative story. And you need a good writer to be able to do that. And that's where Zack Snyder failed with his first 2 movies. And that's where the studio got nervous with Justice League. And they didn't fix it by bringing in Joss Whedon. That was another complete mistake in their part. Complete.
Yeah.
Integrity 101 says a stumbling, bumbling Clark Kent has been done by perfection in Donner's direction cut of Superman films.
Nobody's arguing that.
Right. Well, that's to. I think he's directing Tony. And I got his name right. I didn't call him Frank. I called him Tony. And that's why I want to see Cavill in his 5 film arc, which I do too. That's the take. That's the take that I have. Again, to be clear, when I first saw Man of Steel, I didn't. Okay, so I liked it, but I was like, wait a minute. I needed to watch it 2 or 3 times to really comprehend because that story hasn't been told before. So it took me a good 2 or 3 times to watch it because it was different. And
no, it wasn't. It was just looked differently, but it was the same story as Superman Returns. New land, new Krypton on Earth. General Zod replaces Lex Luthor. Same crap. The only difference was in this one, he actually threw punches. That's the big difference.
No, how you gonna say it's the same as Superman Returns when there was no
they're both seeking new land on Earth. Same storyline.
No, it was not the same storyline. It was totally different.
New Krypton on Earth on both movies. How's not the same storyline? It's just done differently.
No, it's not.
Hold on.
One was trying to bring it from the ocean, the other one was trying to terraform the planet. That's the only difference. But they were both trying to bring new Krypton to Earth.
Superman Return was like Superman 1, the airplane coming down. Come on, it was more Superman 1.
But you're talking about certain scenes. You're talking about the overall perspective of the storyline.
You're doing the same thing. No.
That's the basic story. That's the story of the movie. They're trying to create new Krypton on Earth. That's different than a plane sequence. You're talking about an action sequence. I'm talking about the storyline of the movie.
No, but to you it is, not to me. To you, see, that's the thing that everybody.
But Superman catching a plane is not part of the overall perspective of the big storyline. It's just a part of an action sequence.
Isn't wonderful? Isn't it beautiful that everybody or anybody could watch a movie and have a different take?
That's
you're saying that Man of Steel is a lot like the story plot is like Superman Returns, and I'm saying that it's not. So how is it? I mean, and there are a lot of people that don't share your view.
But your argument is because he saves a plane in one and not the other, they're different. That's an action sequence. You can't make that's the comparison to Shazam for the Batman versus Superman.
Did the same thing.
You're making weird comparisons.
You did what I just did to you. You did it to me. You did the same thing.
I'm comparing exact storylines. New Krypton on Earth on both movies.
It's not. You see, you're doing the same thing.
But that's the storyline, boys.
It's different story. How
New Krypton on Earth and back-to-back movies. How's that different? How's that different?
Because General Zod is not a Superman.
It doesn't matter. You're substituting one bad guy for the other. You're doing the same storyline. That's what they did.
Okay, Angel. What was controversial about Superman Returns? Was there any controversy?
He didn't have a bad guy he could throw punches with, so they brought in Zod Rider to give the same storyline. Not Zod Rider. I'm sorry, they brought in Zod because Zod Rider didn't get punched. Zod Rider's my boy.
Hold on. Was there anything controversial about Superman Returns?
Well, the part that was moody and it was just a crappy movie.
Come on,
about it.
No, there was nothing about Superman Returns that was controversial. Now, what was controversial about Man of Steel?
Well, did he kill Zod? I don't care about that.
Oh yeah. No,
That's
you don't care.
who cares?
That was the main theme that everybody
Well,
had a problem with Man of Steel because he killed. Superman does not kill. I'm sorry. Superman should have found a way. Superman does not kill. And that's the American way. That was the controversy of Man of Steel.
The controversy of Batman vs Superman was that Ben Affleck was cast, but that's neither here nor there. I mean,
I'm talking about Superman.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm just saying the perspective is exactly. Zack Snyder put him in
that position.
Yeah.
No, but hold on. But he's saying that the plot was the same, and I'm telling the plot was not the same because if the plot was the same, General Star would have been there, and Superman returns. Brandon Ross Superman would have killed somebody. He didn't. So the plot was totally different.
But that you
it's totally different,
dude. You're making no sense. He killed Zod and Superman. He killed in Superman the original one. Doesn't he kill Zod in the Superman 2?
He does.
So what was different?
But hold on.
Okay, then. So there's nothing different. There's nothing different.
No, hold on. No, don't listen to that. You compare.
So you're saying that Zack Snyder is so unoriginal. He's so unoriginal that he picks from other movies because he can't come up with an original concept. Thank you. Thank you. Prove my point for me. Thank you.
No, Angel, your point was not Superman 2. Your point was Man of Steel and Superman Returns. Don't bring Superman 2 here. You said
your argument has nothing to do with the storyline. You're talking about an action sequence.
To you. That's how you see it. I don't. Go ahead, Vega.
All right, hold on. So I can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Loud and clear.
So I could only talk in bits because my Bluetooth headphones went off or they died. So I'm on
we
mute.
Noticed that.
Okay. So as far as controversial or what was controversial, it wasn't just the fact that Superman killed. It was the fact that Superman had to face consequences, real life consequences that every other Superman really didn't have to face, as far as like millions or thousands of people actually dying and him having to be held accountable for that destruction. Like you really never see that happening in a Superman story. This Superman was challenged in facing the actual realities and repercussions of a consequence of having a major blowout fight in Metropolis where thousands of lives actually died. So that's the burden he has to carry. The burden of, he had to kill Zod.
Superman 2 when they fight in Metropolis, there's a lot of injuries and stuff. You just don't see it because they didn't have the special effects to do it back then. But they still people
and that's
that
probably true
died.
too, right? The special effects thing is definitely a key to
Excuse
that.
me, Vega. Excuse me, Vega. To Integrity 101 and Garcia wrong because the director Richard Donner does say that Superman kills General Zod in his cut. Verbatim, he says it. So please do not be this type of people that say, well, the director said it, but he didn't do it. The director himself said that Superman in the Richard Donner cut, General Zod died. His own words, not mine. Go, Vega.
Okay.
I have no idea why that's an
argument. So another thing that's also different that we also have to keep in mind is that Jor-El still being in the picture to direct, to give Clark or Kal-El direction is something that we never saw before. It was always Pa Kent who gives him the ideals to become Superman. Hence why I think speaks more volumes to why that
values.
He has those values, right? The ones that we're used to seeing. Not to say that this Superman doesn't have values, because he does. The thing is unfortunately in this storyline, Pa Kent dies. Which it's a curveball. It's a curveball.
He dies in every storyline.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
in most there's one or in like even on TV, Lois and Clark didn't kill Pa Kent.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple different iterations, but for the most part, he dies. Yeah.
Okay. So, but I guess the ones that I'm familiar with, he doesn't really die, or maybe doesn't die that quickly. I guess where it's in his teenage years, because that's the one thing we also have to keep in mind. This Pa Kent died while Clark Kent was still a teenager.
So he did in the original movie also. He died. He was in Smallville as a teenager. He died in Smallville, the TV show, when he was a teenager.
But of a heart attack.
And that is actually that's better than the way they showed it in the movie, because the movie failed in one major aspect. When you die of a heart attack, that means Superman, there's something that he cannot cure no matter how strong he is. And that humbles him and brings him down to earth to a point where he looks at humanity as being fragile in a way that he can't even cure everybody.
I get that.
When you have Pa Kent committing suicide, basically, that kind of takes away from the whole part that Superman,
No. Because there's okay. Now that I will say is not right or not true to this, and it's this is that.
Oh, what was this then? Remember that? Well, fucking like,
no.
Let me die. You just so in 2 scenes later you can reveal that you're Superman. Because
that's actually what I'm gonna talk on right now. Is that this is what I'm trying to get at. There's messages that are being told, especially in Man of Steel, that I feel is missed because we're looking for something else. But the constant message, and actually you see this like in a lot of Snyder films, is that there's sacrifices that need to be made that sometimes we can't fathom, like, we can't understand them. But I feel like that's the message. For instance, like one can always ask, well, why can't Jor-El and his mom just fly with Kent to Earth? Why do they have to sacrifice themselves, right? But that's the key, sacrifice. When it came to that scene, and again, we have to keep in mind too, this film is a starting point to where it was supposed to be going. And so for whatever reason, the narrative in this film worked for that. Pa Kent also had to teach sacrifice by saying the world's not ready for you. Which and truly, in a world that we exist in now, something like that, if a guy like that existed, we wouldn't be ready for something like that.
But that's ridiculous because 2 scenes later, he's showing off his superpowers like nothing ever happened to Pa Kent. So in other words, it failed to resonate with Clark Kent because he was still saving.
No, that's the battle. That is the battle, though. That is exactly the battle. Is, do I continue to keep sacrificing this ideal that was told to me by Pa Kent to hold whatever I gotta do, whatever I can do on reserve, or do I do what's right in my heart and that's save these people or stand up to this guy, and whatever the case may be. But that is the struggle, because yes, Pa Kent was teaching him, hey, the world's not ready. And in doing so, he sacrificed himself for that very purpose because of the storm, whatever. And that was the constant struggle he was battling with. Was
he died over a wet dog, dude?
Oh yeah, trust me, I would have left the dog. I would have left the dog.
I mean, let's be realistic here. It was a very retarded way for him to die. It was just stupid.
Trust me, I get that. I would have left the dog too. But for the narrative,
not only that, here's how stupid his scene is. He doesn't have to show his powers to go save a dog. He can run in, take the dog, release him. A lot easier than Pa Kent because he's strong without having to break the car apart. Nobody has to see what he's going to go in, take something off real quick, boom, the dog is free. Everybody's happy. Nobody notices anything because everybody's far away from him anyway. So the scene is ridiculously badly written.
It's just trying to pitch the sacrifice part.
Right.
But I get what you're saying.
It fails at it.
I get what you're saying, though. Honestly, it was logical just to send Clark, even if let's just say the occurrences of everything happened the same way. Nobody knew that Clark's foot got smashed.
But here's the thing also, when you have that sequence, people already knew that Clark was special. Early in the movie, they established as a
Not
kid.
Everybody knew that, though.
As a kid, he saves a bus. You don't think for years that's now circulated around the city of Smallville? You don't think people are going to talk about this kid who saved the bus and pulled it out of a lake and saved everybody in the bus?
But what did they claim it was? A
miracle.
They were pinning it on,
but they knew that the kid was special because it wasn't the first time that. But it wasn't the first time. But they said that it wasn't the first time they had seen Clark use his powers. They had done it before in the movie.
By the way, Pa Kent.
I don't remember that, to be honest with you.
Watch the movie.
I mean, I did just watch the movie. That's what I'm trying to figure out. When did they say that?
His friend, Ned's friend, the chubby kid. I forgot his name, but he's seen it before. Like there's a
I'm not sure, bro. To be honest, I've just seen this movie.
You probably missed it. There was at least once or twice where it's happened before. They mentioned it in the sequence.
Because literally the only scene before that scene is when he was a little kid and he's first, like, I guess the powers are coming on him. Oh, he sees X-ray, hears things, and that never goes any further than that. And then literally the only instance of him being a kid was that bus scene, and then
you're skipping a couple of years. You don't know what happened between those years if you had another experience with one of those kids and they seen him do it before.
This is the part that just like kills me, is that I feel like there are people that wants to be catered, that want to be told every little thing. You know, what happened with this? What happened a year later? I want to be able to see this. I want to be able to see. With Zack Snyder movie, sometimes you gotta use your noodle. You have to watch something 2, 3, 4. Oh, hold on. Two or three or four times to understand it, and sometimes you just take common sense.
Not me.
You're right, but to you guys, trust me, there are fans that wants to see Henry Cavill save a cat out of a tree because that's what it was. I'm being a little sarcastic. Tony, I'm being sarcastic. You're a New Yorker, man. Come on, you should get my sarcastic. I'm disappointed at you, Tony. Okay, you know I'm being a little sarcastic here, but you know what I'm talking about.
How much you hear that, though? You know how much we hear that? Oh, everybody wants Superman saving a cat out of a tree. You hear that all the time.
Because it's being said, though. Because it's being said, because there are some people. Well, I don't like Superman because you don't have red underwears, and in the comic he should have red underwears. Those are little. I'm telling you, those are little stuff.
People complain about that stuff.
Yeah, those are little stuff that's being said now. Now going back to that Kent scene, that Clark Kent let his father die. To me, it shows up in Batman versus Superman. How towards the end, what did Superman tell Lois Lane? You are my world. That's the same thing that he learned from
sacrificed himself.
He sacrificed himself because he got that teaching from his father. He got that teaching from his father.
That's the same father who said maybe you should have let them kids drown in that bus.
He said maybe.
Maybe.
You had to.
Tony, you should never teach your kid that. That's bad teaching. Bad parenting.
Okay, you cannot compare. Cannot compare a child who is in middle school to a guy who just graduated high school. You can't do it. The teaching is different. Come on. You're not gonna teach your son something at 10 years old.
You teach them when they're young.
And he didn't say to let them drown. He didn't say to let them drown. He said, "What did I tell you about using your powers in public?" And then Clark said, "Well, what was I supposed to do? Let him drown?"
Which goes back to the point I made earlier that he's used it. Which goes back to the point I made earlier. He's used the powers before people had seen them, and that's why Pa Kent told him, "What have I told you about using your powers in public? Not to do it." Because in the past, in scenes we don't see, he's probably used it.
Right. Okay, hold on. You got to think yourself as a parent. Hold on. Okay, with all due respect. With all due respect. I'm going to ask you a question because I want to make my point. Tony, do you have kids?
Oh, I knew this was coming. I knew.
No, I'm asking.
This was going to come up.
I'm asking. Seriously, it's a serious question. Yes or no? Because I don't know. I don't know anything about you, so I want to. No, it's a sincere question. Do you have kids?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Lucky man.
Angel, do you have kids?
God, no.
No. Okay.
No.
All right. So
knock on wood.
Okay. So here's my point of view as a father. Okay, so I want to preface this, okay, as a father, okay? This is, and maybe it will help you understand why I could relate to it. If I have an alien who came from the sky, who's a child, My job is to protect him. And if I'm raising him, what's the first thing, the fear that I'm going to have as a parent who took this child that I know that is not in this world, that everybody was going to find out about him and take him away from me? Why do you think Martha Kent said that? I'm afraid they're going to take it away from me. Now, it's the same thing. I know it's going to be kind of cheesy, but it's like the same thing of Alf. Alf, you have Alf, an alien pet, come from this world, and the talents did not want to say anything because they were afraid somebody was going to come and take Alf. So you
compared Alf to Superman? Well, Zack Snyder Superman, maybe.
Hold on. The plot.
Wait, let me add on to your point.
Go there.
Okay, but I'm thinking as a parent, Clark Kent is saying that because he does not want the outside world to know who he is because he's afraid they might take him away. You won't understand that because you're not a parent. I'm a parent. That's the first thing that I would fear.
That's fine, but if kids' lives are in danger, then Clark Kent should not say that.
If you talk to every foster parent who has a child and they get attached to the child, what is the number one thing they're afraid of?
But those foster parents don't have but those foster parents don't have Superman as their foster child.
Look, even on a basic level, even on a basic level, like it doesn't even have to be that your child is an alien. Like I've seen this happen plenty of times where like, like for instance, I have friends who are in the military, and we probably could say that's honorable, that's the right thing to do, what you do, whatever, blah blah. Or even I got friends that are policemen, but their parents oppose it because of the danger that it comes with it. So you would think, oh, well, why would his parents tell them not to do the right thing? Don't go into the line of fire or turn a blind eye when you see someone getting beat up, because then you'll get beat up. It's these natural inclinations as a parent, just because you want to you're looking out for the well-being of your own child.
I think it has
as to why you would say something like that. So it's not necessarily like he's a bad person or they're bad people. It's just parents' natural inclination is
nobody's
to look out
saying
for the well-being
person.
of their own child, and I think that was what was shown there. Not necessarily.
I think Angel's going to appreciate this point. Back in 2016, so it was before the election. My daughter was going to graduate out of high school, and I received a call. Asking me, do I want my daughter to go to the military? The military, okay? And you know what my exact words? If Hillary is in charge, hell no. They asked me why. I said, if Hillary Clinton let those people die in Benghazi, do you really think I want to send my child to the military and Hillary Clinton take care of them? I'm speaking as a father. I'm speaking as a father. My job was to protect my kid. My kid.
You're comparing Superman to Alf and now Hillary Clinton. My God.
No. Okay, if you don't get the point, then I can't help you, Angel. if you don't get that point, then I'm sorry.
I get the point, but the big difference is Superman has superpowers.
No, hold on, because you made a point.
It goes back to the point that you said. Clark Kent has to stay hidden and not reveal
exactly.
Who he is.
Bingo.
And
thank
so
you.
Him revealing his powers reveals who he is. That's why, again, it alludes back to the fact that his father knew him revealing his powers was going to put Clark in a compromising position that he didn't want him to be in as a child.
But he does that anyway.
It's not really.
But he does that out of nature anyway. That's why he saves the bus. Because it's in his nature as Clark Kent, as Superman, as Kal-El, to be a savior.
Human nature. That is true to human nature.
That's human nature, exactly.
Yeah.
So you can't stop a human from trying to save somebody when they're in that position, especially if they have the kind of ability where they can jump in the lake and pull out an entire bus full of kids.
Police go out
without even breaking a sweat.
With bulletproof vests, guns, and everything, and parents still care for their child.
But they're not superhuman. It doesn't matter. You can still kill the cop.
It's the same.
You should have in the face what happens.
Okay, so you wanted Clark Kent to tell the whole world I'm raising an alien that has superpowers?
Not only that, like you have to be realistic.
But
if the
but him saving the dog, but him saving the dog has something to do with him telling the world, yeah, my son's an alien. nobody's gonna notice that he saved the damn
Clark
dog.
Kent told him not.
It's a stupid way to kill Clark Kent.
It's also, you're forgetting he's still in adolescence. He's not a grown man.
He
So
looked like a
you
grown
have to
ass
keep
man,
these
and
things in
by the way,
mind.
also very cheesy. Very cheesy when he tells him, "You're not my
Because
dad."
at the end of the day, if Superman would have revealed himself to the world at that moment, while he was still a kid, while he was still a teenager, unlike other shows or other iterations where the real thing that would have happened is the government would have took interest, would have stepped in, took this child away from them. That's what would have really happened in a real world. They would not say,
but they dealt with that in Smallville, the TV show. They dealt with this. Dude,
do what you do,
they did the same.
You're trying to make things an Angel. Don't do that. They're both two different things.
You compare your
Smallville to a Smallville TV.
You compare Alf and Hillary Clinton to Superman. So don't use that argument. Don't use that argument because it fits your narrative. That's not cool.
I'm comparing the point. I'm comparing the point.
And I'm comparing the point too. You can do that. You cannot do that. You cannot compare things that don't make sense.
So what I said, you really
you're not making sense.
I'm making more sense than you, brother.
No, you're not. You're not making more sense. People in the chat, do you agree with me or do you agree with Andrew?
I think people would agree with the host of the show.
All right, Tony. Okay.
I see where you're going. I know your game.
That's you.
Again, I think it's as simple as and I say simple, but apparently I guess it's not. But the reality is that the notion of thinking that Clark could easily still do what he does, even as a child, and nothing would happen. I think that's there's ignorance there. Like the reality is the government would have stepped in. They would have took this child, used it for their own gain. These are all the things that have to be thought about in the reality of it. Of if an alien or a kid with superpower beings would have existed, they would have not said, "Oh, that's cool. There's a kid who's got superpowers. Go ahead and live your life over in Kansas on a farm and do what you do." Like, no, that doesn't happen. That's not realistic. These are the reasons why Jonathan Kent and Martha Kent felt that Superman or Clark Kent had to keep his things hidden.
I think that's true to a certain age. Yes.
Yeah.
But when he was in that car, when he said to his dad, "You're not my real father."
How old do you think he was then?
Not too much younger than he was when he got his powers.
19 or
so you think the government doesn't take kids that are 16 years old?
But dude, you got to understand. Previously to that, when he was a kid, he was saving people in Smallville.
Dude, Smallville does their thing.
And I'm talking about in the movie when he's a kid, he saves the bus.
Oh, Smallville, the town.
The sequence, yes, the sequence in the movie.
Uh-huh.
He did it there also. So
no,
I mean,
you
can't say that he's never done anything. If the government was going to go after him, they would have gone after him as a kid.
Okay, how many times? Who here? Look, I don't know if I'm the only.
The town
I don't know if I'm the
held
only
a
bad
secret.
kid here. I don't know if I'm the only bad kid here. But how many times did you really listen to your parents?
I had
to. I had to also. Yeah.
I was a bad kid, like not super bad. What I'm saying is, I had my moments where, despite what my parents was telling me, I would still do what I wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just natural. So like that, I don't know. That doesn't prove anything to me. I think like he's obviously gonna do what he still feels in his own heart as a child, whatever he's thinking in his own mind. But his parents are gonna obviously try and teach him, not just teach him, but also
nobody's arguing that point.
Go the extra mile to look out for him.
But nobody's arguing that point. The point that I'm arguing is the sequence was done stupid because it doesn't reveal anything of him going to save the dog, and you get more.
Wait, hold on, you keep going from the bus to the dog, the bus to the dog. What's it gonna be?
No, because we're talking about both sequences here, and the bus sequence is early on, but when you're talking about saving the dog, when the dad dies, that's the part where he's already a lot older, and he tells Pa Kent in the car, "You're not my real father," and he's like, "Oh, damn, 18." How like immature is this Clark Kent to begin with? At that age, telling his dad that this is the thing he said when you're 12 or 13.
That actually should tell you how old he really is. You get what I'm saying? Like,
but he looks no different than he looked no different than he did when he was 25. So I mean,
I'm gonna ask you guys a question. Can I ask you guys a question? A stepchild. Let's just a stepchild or an adopted child. Do you think
They
if
have those rebuttals.
do you not think that's being said in the real world? You're not
No,
my
it
real
is.
That's
father.
fine, but when
I had
you're a
No,
lot
no,
many friends who
younger,
were
it's a yes or no.
who
Yes or no.
adopted children, and
Yes or
that
no. Adopted children or foster children or whatever or step kids. Do you think in the real world, you have kids that say that to their
he, but he's
yes or
not
no?
a kid.
yes.
He's
No,
not
it's
a
a yes or
kid.
no. No,
When you
no,
were a kid,
I didn't
yes,
ask
but
that.
he's not a kid anymore.
No,
didn't.
even as a
That's
teenager,
not my
dude.
question.
I was in high
Here's my
school. I had
question.
kids. Look,
Yes,
I was
yes
in
or
high
no.
school, and I had friends that were adopted, and that was still the mindset. Like, you know, in the end of the day,
And they're
that was
ungrateful.
like their get out of jail free card in a sense.
But
That's a
That's
different argument.
that's the
That
card they
that,
always
that
drop
wasn't
whenever
my
they disagree
question.
with the
That's being
parents.
ungrateful, though. That's being that. Now
Okay,
you're saying
that
Superman's
is
ungrateful.
Being a
correct.
kid,
Yes,
that's
but that was not my
realistic.
question.
That's
My
realistic.
question is yes or no. Are those things,
And
those
yeah, it is ungrateful.
kids, yes, do they say that to their step parents? Yes or no?
Yeah, they do.
But
They
that,
do.
they do, but that's
No,
not the point.
thank
They
you. I
do
keep
when they're
asking
like
the
younger.
question.
When you're
Yes or no?
18, you don't say crap like that.
How you know?
Look,
Well, how
like
you know?
I will reiterate.
think?
I was
Are you
in high
seriously?
school.
I
The high
put
school ages are from 14 to 18, and there was friends that I had that was still their rebuttal to their adoptive parents
And
whenever
they're
they
very,
wanted
and
something to go their way.
ungrateful. They're very
Yeah, and
ungrateful.
they are.
They are, but
You know,
that wasn't
it's
my
in the
question.
moment. But it's in the moment of them wanting something. You understand what I'm saying? It's not something they were saying on the regular basis. It's whenever they found themselves in a confrontation where they wanted something to go their way.
I understand that.
You know, so and that's what you to me, the way I saw that scene is that's what you see when you see him say, like, there was clearly he was arguing with Pa Ken about wanting to leave and do something else and whatever, like, you know, be something
Can I
greater,
follow
you know?
that? Can I follow that on the narrative that I'm going to take it to the small screen real quick? And I know Lewis hates this, but we're going to talk about Smallville, the TV show, for a second. And just hear me out before you laugh or make fun.
Okay.
In the very first episode, right? The very first episode of Smallville, I'm going to take you all the way back 10 years into the lore of the show when it first started.
Yeah.
Remember, part of the issue that Clark Kent had was that he wanted to play football and he didn't want to be a complete loser. And he had that conversation with his dad in the kitchen. That his dad was like, "You shouldn't show your powers because there's consequences."
Yeah.
He still had that same conversation with him without having to sacrifice his life like an idiot over a wet dog. Okay, and he still had the same conversation with him, still taught him the same morality, and he still died from a heart attack years later, like the way he should have. Teaching him a further lesson that human life is fragile, and you need to be the savior of humanity. That's what you're here for, to be the light, the shining beacon that humans need.
That was the lesson in that movie, though. That was the lesson Jor-El was giving, not Pa Kent. And that's
the lesson that he should get from
Vega,
Vega.
Hold on.
And again, to Lewis, you said it earlier. Like, again, that scene of him sacrifice, it alludes to the future of when Superman decides to sacrifice himself.
Okay, but
now I get
maybe
you wanted Pa Kent to be the one to teach him everything, but I felt it was a good narrative and important to still have Jor-El be a key component to why Clark becomes Superman.
Well, it was like
because
that Superman 1 too. That in Superman 1, it was like that as well. Jor-El.
Yes, it was, Tony. But hold on. But in Man of Steel, Pa Kent did tell his son Clark, "You took him to the ship. You were sent here for a reason." So he was teaching him, "You were sent here for a reason." So the thing that you just said, Angel, Pa Kent did told him that.
I'm not arguing that. You're arguing something that I'm not arguing that. Nobody's arguing that. The narrative of what happened later is what's stupid, the way they killed him. That's what I'm arguing. I don't care that he dies. I don't care that he has that conversation with him. The way he died is stupid.
No, it's not. To me, it's not, because
I think at this point,
and it fails the further narrative of what he's supposed to learn as a character.
I think at this point, when it comes to that scene, it's subjective. I think it is subjective. I think
it is. It completely is. As a writer and as a fan, everybody's gonna have their own take on what they want or they don't want. To me, we're arguing for no reason, because to me, it's a stupid sequence. To you, it's brilliant. To some people, they love Jar Jar Binks. Some people think he's the worst thing ever made. My nephews love the Phantom Menace. To me, I'm like, it was very mediocre. I like it because it's Star Wars.
To me, it's episode 3. To me, it's episode 3.
Exactly. For me, 3, Rogue One, and then the originals, and then Force Awakens is pretty good. I like that, but then shit show after that.
Right.
Yeah,
that's
good point.
That's a different.
He
That's a
found the
different
big
show altogether.
Kryptonian ship when he was an adult. That's a great point. He found the big Kryptonian ship when he was an adult. That's a great point.
What? Who? Roberto? What do you mean?
He found a Kryptonian ship when he was an adult.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. But what? Yeah. What is that alluding to? What?
Yeah. Well, I don't understand where you're going with that. Which, by the way, was very ironic that the ship was like 5,000 years old or whatever it was, and they had the exact size and measurement of his suit in there. That was interesting. I don't know how that worked. It's like, we're going to predict that this guy's going to wear this suit in particular.
Kryptonian technology is that advanced.
And it's the only suit on the ship. It's not like they have a selection, a plethora of suits. No, like, this is the one suit.
I could alluded to this in an interview where he said that the ship actually constructs these suits. So I want to say if that was the case, because I mean that's kind of ironic, but I think to the
ship has been turned off for like thousands of years, by the way, because it wasn't activated. It's not like it's been there waiting for him activated, saying, this Clark Kent guy is taking forever. When is Kal-El guy gonna get here? Like, it's just taking a year and a half.
Well, guys, I'm gonna assume that little flying thing saw him. Maybe it took its measurement, and he talked to the ship. He said, he's here.
Between that and trying to zap him to death. He's trying, like, how many times he like hit him with like that.
Or maybe when he was talking.
Let me say,
actually, this is actually probably the most logical reason is that keep in mind when he's talking to Jor-El, that's like it's the actual conscience of Jor-El. That obviously. Once we're digging into that, that's very theoretical, fantasy. So,
but that's been done before. That was done also in the original movies.
Be it as it may, if I were to understand why the ship knew the measure, it would be probably because by that point, whatever the conscious that's somehow alive still, but even though he's dead, could see his size, and when he tells, he brings him to the suit. That's probably why the suit is the.
But that's not discussing the movie. And the only reason Jor-El is there is because he puts that little like Superman key in there, and that brings Jor-El to life. But at no point does the ship know that the Superman Kal-El is going to be there, and the suit was already prepared.
The second Jor-El the second he turns on that key, and Jor-El comes to I don't even know what to call it, but his consciousness comes to life. Right? Let's just call it that. I don't know.
Well, it's a pre-recording of like the essence of what Jor-El was. It's not even the consciousness.
No, that's not a pre-recording. That's what I'm trying to get at. If that's what you thought, there's no way because
it can't be the consciousness because he wasn't dead.
It definitely is because this guy was having in the moment conversations with General Zod, so it's not a pre-recording.
Okay, but here's the thing. In Star Trek, the Doctor and Voyager.
This is in Star Trek only.
I understand, but we're using the logic of different products here. In Star Trek, the Doctor and Voyager had conversations. He did a whole lot of things as a doctor, and he was a hologram.
Yeah, that's Star Trek, though. That you can't. It's not the same thing.
But we're talking about technology. So
but this technology works different. Technologies work different.
But they're both holograms. But they're both holograms.
There's no adamantium in the DC universe.
But I know, I understand that. But they're both holograms. You can walk right through both of them. So they're both holograms.
How a hologram is presented is one thing, but what it is, what it's being derived from is a whole different thing. You know what I'm saying? Like AI technology.
They're both being derived from the consciousness of a living person. Even the Doctor on Voyager was taken directly from a living person.
Maybe,
all right, guys.
Same thing.
That's Star Trek.
We're about. I got my beautiful wife, who's
prove it. Just kidding.
I'll call over here.
I'm teasing.
I know. Guys, we're about to wrap it up. If there's any question that you have for us, hit us up right now. But we're gonna wrap it up. I want to thank my guests who came on. Tony. He's been asking me to do this. You know what? I'm gonna call him Tony Frank.
Tony Frank.
Yeah, Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra.
He's got the essence of Frank.
I want my show to be different. I want my show, not just to be, pro Zack Snyder. I'm always intrigued to have a debate conversation with people who may have a difference in opinion from us. Unfortunately, on Twitter, there's a lot of infighting. If you guys notice, I'm not involved in that. It's just too draining. Mentally, I think people are so hell bent, about taking credits and so forth. I mean, I get it. I get it as a human being. When we write on something, when we predict something, we want to be acknowledged. Sometimes I do fall guilty of that. Like I've been saying since 2018 that Ben Affleck could come back to finish Zack Snyder vision. I got a lot of heat for that. And then obviously it's coming to pass. So when I see people taking credit for something that I said 2018, the human nature in me say, hey, wait a minute, you guys were the same person that said that I was crazy.
Right.
Same thing with Henry Cavill and all that stuff. So I get it. It's okay to have a spirit debate. It's okay to go back and forth. But when it gets to a point that you live every day on Twitter and that you're so obsessed to defend your point, it just it defeats the the purpose. So again, I'm not excluding myself from this, because again, I know as especially those haters that that said I was wrong and a lot of stuff, and it turned out that I was right. A lot of the stuff, and sometimes on my show, I do poke the bear, but I do that all in fun. If I'm gonna talk smack, I'm gonna talk smack on my show. You know why, guys? You know why? Because at least I'm not a coward. I put my face on a show. Those people hide behind Twitter and they talk all day smack, and they don't have
their avatars.
Right. So at least I have a show channel. You guys could follow. You guys could bring it. I'm here. But right now, everything that is going on right now, I just wish that people just could this whole nonsense, who's the reason why we got the Snyder cut. I think we all did. I think even the people that didn't want it, I could make an argument it's because of them too, because it was the heated debate that I had with Tony and with Angel that made me fight for it more. That made me say, you know what, this is why I want it. Maybe they don't like it. However, it made me stronger. So we all had a part of the Snyder Cut being released. It was just not one person. Gosh, if it would have been one person, oh my gosh, Jesus Christ. It wasn't just one person. It was everyone.
I thought it was always Don Ryder who was making a big deal about it, but that's my boy though, Don Ryder.
And I always try to stay humble when people say thank you, Lewis, for this. I'm like no. I came late. I always try to acknowledge the people that I saw from the beginning, that was there from the beginning, which was Chris Wan. Like him or don't like him, he made videos every single day since 2006, I think 15 or 16. I forgot what it was.
To put me on.
Right. So I'm just being honest. Dave Pena, he was out there from the very beginning, screaming for the Snyder Cut. He got, and obviously, who could forget Fiona? Right. I mean, obviously, I know Will Rollins, he's taking a lot of heat from everybody. But if I'm going to be honest, and when I call it the middle, he also was part of the the one that
organized part of a lot of the organization.
Yeah, exactly. So it wasn't one person. It was a collective.
Definitely. I agree with that. And I'll tell you what, I'm not a fan of the Snyder universe, but I wanted to see a Snyder cut, and me and Zack Ryder, we argued about that, just to make you guys satisfied with it, to make you happy and happy, and get enough of that. Shut up about it already. Get all you can out of it. So you shut the hell up about it, because I don't want to keep hearing about the Snyder cut when I'm 55.
They're not satisfied that they're getting a cut. Now they want more. Now we got
Let him have it. It's gonna be on
And
HBO
we're gonna
Max.
get
Nobody's
more,
gonna be
Tony.
watching.
We're
anyway.
gonna get Batman versus Deathstroke. We're gonna get. We're gonna, yeah,
Angelo,
but you know what though, Tony? You're getting Matt Reeves Batman. How's that? You're getting your Batman. So we all win.
Vengeance.
Yeah,
I
we
am
all.
vengeance.
That is a good line.
That sequence looked good.
Yeah,
And let me tell you, my favorite
Well, that
voiceover
Batman looks like it's
that
gonna be
I've
really
heard,
good.
the best voiceover that I've heard in a trailer has to be the one by the Riddler in this movie, where he's like, "If you are justice, then who am I?"
Mm-hmm.
That whole voiceover, I mean, the way it's delivered, and then the "I am vengeance." The way they delivered the very subtle things in those trailers were so brilliantly put together that I'm not a Pattinson fan. I was cringy when I heard that he was cast, but now I'm on board because that
Look,
looked
I'm
really
gonna say
good.
this: Pattinson. A lot of people don't know a lot of his work, bro. But if you see his work, he's
Yeah,
got
he's a good actor.
range.
He's a
He
good
has
actor.
got range.
You know what told me? Tenet. I saw Tenet and I was like,
Oh yeah, he's phenomenal in Tenet.
oh,
Phenomenal in Tenet.
amazing. Yeah, it's very amazing
but
movie.
as an
And
actor,
you know,
he's got range, man.
Yeah, no,
and
I
you
agree.
know, guys, you know what I'm gonna do too. And obvious, Will Rollins and Mr. Westside City know that I have a sense of humor. So, and I think it'll be funny. I'm gonna get me a shirt that says "I'm in it for clout."
Wait, on that note, Louis, on that note, PB told me to remind you, y'all had that bet.
Yeah, I know. We did. Yeah. I'm gonna have to buy him.
He said, "Where's my money?"
Yes. But I'm pretty sure Will Rollins and Mr. Westside is gonna get a kick of it. That I'm gonna get a T-shirt that says "I'm in it for clout."
Oh,
Because
definitely.
honestly, I have a YouTube channel. The only way it's gonna grow if I get some clout. I want some clout, baby.
Hey,
I'm gonna have mine. I'm gonna put I did it for the Jolly Ranchers. Like
yeah. Well, anyway, guys, it was a pleasure having you guys. Guys, please join me. I don't know if it's December 5th or December 12th. I just got confirmation that Fabian Wagner is going to be joining my show. We just coordinating. It's one of those 2 days. He's gonna. I keep checking my emails because he says it's one of those 2 days. So there's gonna be one of those 2 days. And obviously, I'm gonna work around his time. So whatever time he says, obvious, when you got somebody that big, whatever time they want.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
I did the same thing with Mark McKenna when he was like the first time I had him on my show, he was like, what do you want me to be on? I was like, you're Mark McKenna, dude. You did Doom Patrol, Superman, Batman. You do whatever time you want. I wake up at 4 a.m. You kidding me? You're interviewing Mark McKenna?
Yeah, exactly. So whatever. I'll work around. I'll work around his time. Well, anyway, guys, just in case I don't speak to you guys have yourself a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving. Be safe.
One thing, can I plug my website real quick?
Yes, sir.
All right, angelespino.com. Please check me out there, and my podcast and everything is right on there. It's very simple. My name, angelespino.com. Please check that out, and you have thousands of hours of hilarity in there.
I can imagine.
Right.
I mean, dude, thank you.
I had a blast here, man.
Thank you so much for doing this, man. I know it all started with my email, and I gotta commend you. Taking the initiative to get us all together and being able to communicate with each other, whether we agree, whether we disagree. One of my best friends in the world is a Boston Red Sox fan.
My condolences, brother. My condolences on that. Oh, that's tough.
Hey, that just goes to show you nobody needs to be enemies of each other.
Yes.
Right?
That's almost as bad as being a Mets fan.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. Keep laughing because it ain't gonna last long. Because I have a rich owner. I am so pumped up for my owner. Look him up. We're $44 billion. Look him up, baby. You guys ain't gonna be laughing in a couple of years. We're coming for you. We're coming for you.
I don't want to talk. I'm down in Miami. We have the Marlins.
My condolences. All right, guys. Well, you guys take care, okay?
All right, you too, Louis.
All right,
Angelo,
take
Tony.
care.
It was good.
Take care, guys.
All right. All right, guys. Long show, 3.5 hours, man. What I do for my Snyderverse fans, man. What I do for you guys, man. But it was a pleasure having everybody on. I really appreciate. It was a spirited debate. The New York came out of me, but I really appreciate everybody joining me. I had about 20 people. Actually more than that. I think that joined. So I think this time slot may work for me. Maybe I do a little bit in the evening, but I have to do a little negotiation with the wifey because if I'm gonna, 10:30, it's be a little late, so I'm gonna have to, negotiate on the time with her. But anyway, guys, it was a pleasure speaking with you. I'll keep in contact with you guys. I'm gonna, if you guys, please, you could do me a favor. For those that haven't already, please hit subscribe to my channel. The Louis Centeno Show. Hit the notification. You also could follow me on Twitter as well. At Superman0621. Follow me there. I'll be making an announcement very soon whether Fabian Wagner is going to be joining me on December 5th or December 12th. We got those 2 dates down. I just don't know the exact date and time, but it's one of those 2 dates. As soon as I know, guys, I'll let you guys know. Okay. So anyway, guys, be safe. Be careful. If I don't speak with you guys. Have yourself a happy Thanksgiving. So until the next time, guys. See ya.